Saturday morning cocktail kickoff show coming to you live for a second Saturday in a row. Actually, the third Saturday, but this is the second official with the title. Coming back to you with my man, Justin. My other co-host, Michael, is out on sabbatical. Somebody had a daggum wedding during football season. One of the cardinal sins of life down here in the South, right?
Man, that's un-American, to be honest with you. I mean,
come on. At least
that's unregistered act of terrorism. I mean, you just don't do that.
Well, I give them credit. They did do it on a Friday night, but it still pulled our man Michael away for this Saturday morning. Man. But still, you don't do it on it. You got to do that. You can't do that in the fall. But
weekends are free and clear on football weekend, football season. Yeah, brother. I mean, I agree.
That's right. That's right. Well, Justin, man, you've had a pretty boring week. It sounded like. Anything going on in the Bama Standard world at all? I mean, it just sounded like crickets all week coming from you guys.
I wish it would have been crickets, but actually, Daniel, it was far from that. We had the most lively interactions here on this past episode. If none of y'all tuned in, shame on y'all first. We had a great panel. Of course, our guys were there, but we had Reuben Foster and Bo Scarborough, and perhaps one of the best shows, if not the best show we've ever had. And man, we dived headfirst into the A&M recap, talked about it at length, and unveiled Marvin's new clothing line of Fire Pete apparel, not just for the men, but for the ladies too. And he also has Bill O'Brien departure apparel. So we had that, and
man, Marvin's been building that up that you told me for like a couple of years. Like this has been building since last year. And I saw it on a couple of shows where he started the homemade shirt, but it really kind of hit a fever pitch this week. And it kind of started making some waves outside of the show, didn't it?
Oh, without a doubt. Like you said, man, this is something that's been just building up inside him for as long as we've been doing our show. He's not been a fan. And Saturday was just that melting point, and all of a sudden, I'm getting pictures from him of all these Fire Pete shirts, and he's serious, man. He started a movement, and of course, it's blown up on social media. There have been news articles written about it.
One former basketball coach is pretty unhappy about it.
Oh, yeah, brother. I was about to mention that. WJOX has Wimp Sanderson. For those of you new age folks here, Wimp Sanderson is a legendary basketball coach at the University of Alabama. Very outspoken guy.
He was the Bobby Knight of Alabama, pretty much.
He was, or if you were to have a basketball equivalent of a Bear Bryant, in terms of persona and attitude.
Yeah,
there you go. But anyway, yeah, he was totally against Marvin's shirts, and they've been appearing on various news outlets. So.
You expect that from coaches, though. Coaches are going to take that stance anytime, man. They don't like that kind of stuff. They don't like being called out when they're not getting the job done. But you know what? You get paid a lot of money.
Sure do. Along with that, Marvin has added, the cherry on the top, and has now created a Pete impersonation short. I don't know if this is going to be a series, but he's unveiled it. And if y'all have not seen it, you definitely need to check it out on my channel. Marvin is going all out. It's entertainment at its best. And
Marvin had to miss a workout to put that video together. Good gracious. That thing, it was good.
It took some doing and some serious thought. This wasn't just something that popped in his head and grabbed his phone and said, "Let's go." He actually put some effort into this. I was impressed.
Oh man, it was impressive. But man, we learned all kind of stuff in that show. So Marvin's got a new line of shirts, the Fire Pete, that's pissed off Wimp. If NIL deals were happening back in Reuben Foster's day, he would have been the cover boy for Marlboro cigarettes, proudly, like no shame.
Yes, and if y'all do not know about that, you definitely need to go back to the episode that we're talking about and check that out. And that little tidbit, that nugget of joy, if you will, was brought up by none other than our own Daniel Petty. And it added like another segment of our show where we just dived into a story that I never really heard of. I knew about the picture, but it opened up a great story that you definitely need to hear about.
Well, look, man, one of the joys of going to the capstone, and I know this may drive my red and blue fan base crazy, but I did enjoy the after Tennessee game cigar smoke. And one year we couldn't find any, and we've got a picture of me and my buddy that actually brought this up that was so happy. His name's Daniel Campbell, and we had I think we had Black and Mild smoking them after, and we are like, man, how bad does this get? And that was the year after Reuben Foster's picture comes out. We said, well, it does get worse. Reuben's out there smoking a cigarette. And then, man, we never forgot. It was so funny. And I was kind of hesitant to ask Reuben because, you know, you don't know how people are going to react. And, you know, you hear all the stories from our dads, how, you know, Billy Martin smoked in the dugout, or when the Yankees played Alabama in baseball at Sewell Thomas, they were over there and Reggie Jackson was smoking cigarettes in the dugout, and how that just doesn't happen anymore. Well, apparently it does.
Yeah.
According to one Reuben Foster, you know. I don't want to give too much away if Justin's trying to get you back to the show, but he tells a hilarious halftime story. He wasn't just burning the cigs at the end of the game, but he tells a hilarious halftime story of him and yeah, Coach Cochran and some shenanigans of that Tennessee game. Really good stuff, man. So, no, Justin, y'all had a, blow up week. It was awesome to see.
Man, I hate that our success this week was a direct response to an Alabama loss. But, you know,
hey, man,
you got to take what you can get, you know, given the circumstances. However, I hope it does not become the norm. You know, I hope we get back on track.
Well, that's the question, Justin. You know, 2 weeks ago, or before the Ole Miss game, you know, and I don't want to steal anything. I hate mimicking anything the idiots say on SEC. But Michael chiming in. But you know, we thought the Florida game was the galvanizer. But then the Ole Miss game happened, and then they shut down that good offense. You're like, okay, so Bama they've hit it, and then you go get punched in the mouth by, of all people, A&M. What was going from the best offense in the SEC to the worst it was kind of shocking. It's shocking, man. I don't think anybody, I mean, I'm still shocked. I don't know. I was talking to someone that's just football dumbs that was trying to make sense of it this week. Like, how does that even happen? It's like, man, I can't make sense to it. You know, other than kids reading their press clippings, getting punched in the mouth too early. Cause if you look in the second half, when Bama went up 38-31, they ain't giving up a first down to that point. And then we went right, you know, they went right back to the Pete and third and Golding. And so I don't know. It was a weird weekend.
You know, and to your point, as far as press clippings and whatnot go, Coach Saban, and I've mentioned this before, has had a hard time really reeling this group in and getting them focused and just getting their minds on pure football. I think that since we escaped, and I use that term, escaped against Florida, what happened there really didn't resonate to the guys. They saw, well, we escaped, we won, no harm, no foul. So it really didn't take a lasting impact. And then we go to Ole Miss. And to be honest with you, I think they had a chip on their shoulder just because of all the chatter that Ole Miss might beat them. They gave up a lot last year, and there was just a lot to really just draw from, gain motivation. And then we hopped to Texas A&M, and yeah, it's like there was absolutely zero focus. You know, we lost total composure, and you're right. There is absolutely zero reason why Alabama loses that game. I mean, let's face it. You know, there were a team of backups, you know, backup offensive line, backup quarterback, backup secondary, an experienced Alabama team with the talent we have.
Well, and one of the complaints is Malachi going out early, but you know, on the flip side, you just mentioned A&M's playing with a lot of backups. Alabama, look, you don't lose your field general and not lose a step. There's no doubt, but you got to have somebody come in and step up in that situation. And you expect that from the Tide more times than not. And it was just shocking. So, man, to see how they rebound, you know, we're so accustomed to what we've seen out of the Tide for the last few years. You expect them to rebound and you look at the rest of your schedule and say, hey, man, they're going to win out. It's no big deal. But then you look at that game and say, man, I guess that could happen again.
Well, the big difference this year, you know, you mentioned how in previous years, and Reuben Foster and Bo Scarborough talked about this, if we lost a game, we had the leadership in place and we had those dogs that took offense to what happened. They took it seriously, and it was enough just to kick everybody in the ass. And all the leaders stepped up and made sure everyone got that swift kick in the ass. This time around, it's very questionable. Who are those leaders? If they're there, who are they, and what are they doing? It's a question that a lot of Alabama fans and former players are asking. A lot of former players are just really frustrated.
Saban said this week he saw some response, so we'll see today, man. They've got a step up game against the team they shut out last week that beat that very team they lost to last week.
I do want to add to that real quick. Coach Saban, I don't know if you saw this, but he made a statement on his Hey Coach show. He said, "This team is not elite." Yeah. That's a pretty bold statement for Coach Saban to say.
Well, then if that's the case, I mean, insiders are like I said. I thought Saban said some folks were stepping up. Is he saying this team isn't elite to maybe send a message to those guys, one more slap across the face before they play this Mississippi State team? But
you got to think so. I mean, he's got to pull out all the stops right now and hurt their feelings a little bit. Tackle their pride.
Oh yeah. Well, we'll get a chance to find out later tonight, but we've got some football coming up before that, Justin. And, we got a Bama great coming up, and we'll talk a little bit more about that Tide defense and about some of the games going on. But we've got some early kickoffs. My man, Stephen Campbell, big-time Auburn fan, good guy up in North Alabama, says, what's going on after that debilitating Auburn loss? I don't know. Do y'all rebound against Arkansas? That's a good question because, Steven, you got to look across the ball right now because Arkansas is also coming off a smackdown in Athens, a heartbreaking shootout in Oxford where they had a chance to win it on the last play in that dagger of not getting it done. And, they got to come back to Arkansas licking some wounds. And Auburn's been a team I have really put some faith in this year. I had faith that they would go up to Penn State and win, and they kind of let me down. They went over to LSU and did kind of what I expected, but LSU's kind of a team that's fading. And then you come back this last weekend and they gave Georgia a little better fight than Arky did. And I know you can't really do the transitive property, but they looked more physical against Georgia. And a few penalties. Look, I don't think penalties were changed the game. They were going to win. I think Georgia was going to win that game, but that game could have been a lot closer if there's a play right before half where there's a missed pass interference in the end zone, which is shocking. Auburn usually gets those at the burial grounds, but
yeah, I think one of the biggest key in this is Bo Nix. They got to do more than just runnable backfield, but they got to have a passing. And you can't have Bo Nix show up one game and then disappear for four. That's the biggest thing. On Arkansas side, Arkansas showed last week that they can be a balanced offense. They don't just have to run the ball. KJ Jefferson was lighting it up downfield, so I saw some progression and maturity from him. And that's a big advantage that Arkansas has right now is that they can burn you through the air and on the ground.
I don't know why Arkansas, and maybe they tried and Georgia just took it away and Ole Miss didn't have the ability, but when you've got a guy the size of Burks, man, you've got to throw at least six a game. You've got to throw six Moss passes a game to that dude and you're going to get – it's not a 50-50 ball with that dude. It's more 75-25. That guy's a beast. I mean, the poor Ole Miss DB was in place on the two in a row he made that they keep showing on the highlights. He just got abused like a little kid. Yeah, you got to –
of course, it didn't help that, y'all running the 3-2-6 the entire game.
Mike, speaking of the 3-2-6, and Michael brings up a good point, Arkansas runs that. If Auburn's paying any attention, good Lord, run at that thing until somebody stops it. Ole Miss just ran for what? 350 yards against Arkansas, and I love our running backs, and I know that Matt Corral does a lot with his feet, but, man, you've got Tank back there and Jai Hunter,
Yeah.
You've got to pound it. I think I feel like I'm going to get burnt with my Auburn fade following this year, and Steven's going to love this, but I think Auburn can go up there and it's 3.5 points. Arkansas licking some wounds. I think Arkansas has been kind of, not revealed. What's the word when they've been shown up?
Yeah, you got to kind of wonder, what did they take from that loss last week? did they see it as a positive in that, hey, we can move the ball. We did some great things offensively. We had some guys step up, or are they going to take it as a punch in the gut? We didn't get the job done. We came up there, we fell short, and yeah, I mean, you got to kind of wonder where they are mentally right now. And Michael thinks they're exposed.
Yeah, well, that was the word I was looking for. He was helping me out there. I was getting tongue tied. He's know I'm running these 1s and 2s. Michael's not here today. He usually runs the 1s and 2s. So for the first 2 weeks, I just got to sit back and drink on these lovely Bloody Marys and talk. Now I'm having to pay attention to all kind of stuff.
I know, right? Paying attention sucks.
Yeah, man. I like sitting here talking. This is BS. No, it's work. So, man, I don't know. What do you think, Justin? You think do the Hogs get it back together, or did Auburn see some stuff on that film where they can kind of expose them with the run game, or Michael?
Man, to be honest with you, I'm just kind of baffled with this one because I really don't know. It really could go either way. If Auburn had any kind of threat of a pass, and Bo Nix can be on like he was against LSU, then I see no problem with Auburn beating Arkansas. Like I said, like you said earlier, their defense is actually pretty dang good. Despite what the record shows, and they've given up some points, and they've given up some yards, but you got to think of it. I think a lot of that is due to the fact that their offense just isn't moving the ball and keeping them off the field.
Yeah, I don't know. Tricky game, and this has been a funny game historically. If you followed it through the years, the Arkansas Auburn, I've watched. It seems like it's always played at noon, and the underdog has won a lot of times in this thing. I've seen Auburn teams go in there ranked and get popped by Houston Nuts, crazy Arkansas teams, and I know that's going way back, and I know history don't play in, but just through the years of watching SEC football, this has been one of those kind of funny Saturday morning games that can kind of get crazy, and I expect it to get a little crazy today. But we've got another Saturday morning game that's going on down in the Bayou. One dead man walking. Football. He gonna be coaching football somewhere else. He might be back at where
McNeese State or what?
Where did the water boy play? South Louisiana Tech.
SCLSU.
SCLSU. He might be back at SCLSU after this one.
That's right.
He's got Dan Mullen coming to town, and they actually beat the Gators. I think LSU was one of their shocking wins last year.
It derailed them. Yeah, man. It took a lot of momentum from the Gators last year because, had they won that game, man, you're looking at a SEC championship that meant a whole lot more.
Mm-hmm.
And, had they won, they could have gotten into the playoff and would have had 2 SEC teams in the college football playoff. So, there was a lot on that game. But, Florida laid an egg, and Dan Mullen, all his infinite wisdom, for whatever reason, decides to bench his best player to hold him out for the next week, which made no sense. Kyle Pitts is a freak and a game changer. Yeah, by all means, just keep him on the sideline. But and plus their head wasn't in it, man.
No, and that's going to be the question. Where are heads right now? LSU lost their one playmaker it seemed they had this year, and Butte on the receiver last week against Kentucky. Kentucky, if you go back, man, every week I go back and look at the stats of games. I'm a stat junkie. And you look how Kentucky's winning these games, and they won, they beat LSU by 21. They didn't put up that much. I mean, their quarterback threw for 200. They rushed for around 200. It's not like they're lighting it up. So, again, LSU had their one playmaker, and that they couldn't do anything against Kentucky. I'm wondering if that team has quit. Every time I say that, and look, I was talking to Coach Over, Michael's quote. Every time I say that about Coach O, and he does have a history of getting teams to kind of fight off the mat. He can give that rah-rah speech and get guys pumped up to play a game tight, but not win. So the line on this game is 11.5. If anybody's been paying attention, I am absolutely crap against the spread with picking Dan Mullen Florida games this year. I finally got one right last week when they beat Vanderbilt, but that's because Vanderbilt sucks. But, man, it's a weird spot. You got Mullen, who's been kind of hot and cold this year. They lose to Kentucky. They play good against Bama. They smoke Vandy. And you got this LSU that's a dead man walking. Like you said, it's a weird spot down there this weekend, this morning in Death Valley.
and Dan Mullen's just so weird, man. He never can quite um, ascend to that next level of coaching. Like you said, he's so back and forth. He can look great one game and then just kind of stink things up the next few, or his teams just don't really give that effort. It's just I feel like Florida's underachieving under them. To be honest with you, it's got to be frustrating for Gator fans.
Yeah, I think, I said this in my column after they lost to Bama. Like, there's a different – they're not Bama, but there are expectations in Gainesville. They don't expect to beat Bama every year, but they do expect to beat Bama. They do expect to beat the Georgias. Like when the old ball coach – when the whole ball coach – the whole ball
you got went country right there, man.
Yeah, man, that Mississippi coming out in me. When he left Gainesville – that wasn't a series anymore. And now that's flipped back. And the Florida fans, aren't accustomed to not winning that game very often. So Mullen, I'm with you, man. Mullen's a good coach. And look what he did at Mississippi State. He made them above average. He would have 8-9 win seasons.
Yeah.
He can take a 3-star quarterback and do stuff with them that most coaches can't. But on the flip side, it seems like he has a ceiling. And
he does.
I don't know how long Florida's going to put up with that ceiling, and we'll see. I expect – okay, this is what should happen today. What you said what Florida should expect with an LSU team that's licking their wounds. It's probably going to finish maybe last in the SEC West. They should beat this team by 3 touchdowns today in a normal Florida year, and I watch it. It's going to end up being some kind of weird dogfight today.
I agree. I agree. You would think that Florida would just – mop the field with them with their talent, and that with that running game that still leads the nation in rushing, just run over LSU, no problem, and LSU just go back to the doghouse just reeling. But yeah, you never know.
Yeah, you don't. And again, I have a gut feeling on this, but my gut feeling on Florida's been crap all year. I know what my eyes and brain tell me should happen, but college football's crazy. Last week, Bama lost to A&M. So.
But yet you still bet on them. And they burn you, man. It's like an abusive relationship, man.
It is.
You know that you should break up with that person and leave and heal, but you just can't get away from her,
Oh, it's a bad drug, man. It's like, oh, come bet on this Florida mass is sitting out there just wanting to give you money because they can't cover any spread. Like, no, man, it's the risk. I don't know. It's whatever. It's stupid. But I guess that tells you we don't have much of a take. This historically has been a great game, and it's kind of the B cast on a Saturday morning leading into the biggest game of the day. Kentucky top 10 going to Georgia. It's an even basketball season. What's going on, man?
It's not, but that's all well and good. But let's be honest, man. This isn't a marquee matchup. As much as ESPN and all the pundits want it to be, man, it's just not. And don't get me wrong, I love what Mark Stoops has done in Kentucky and how he's created new expectations and completely changed the atmosphere. Great story, but let's face it, man, they don't have the horses of Georgia. And they're going to be fired up to begin things, man. But I have a hard time accepting that this is actually a marquee matchup right now.
Man, you got to pull out the Cavassier.
Yeah, and they will at some point during the game.
Pull out the Cavassier and just hope for the best. I don't know, man. I'm with you. 2 weeks ago, I had a sneaky feeling Georgia was about to expose Arkansas. I thought Auburn may keep it closer last week, and Georgia just kind of kept rolling. At some point, man, even though they're running an offense from 1982, I mean, the last time they were ranked, earned a number 1 ranking, they were running the exact same offense with Herschel Walker. I think I joked that Madonna was still a virgin, but
was she ever really one? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, you might have to go back to the 70s, but man, the last time Georgia was this good, they were running the same offense. So I kept saying they're going to face a team that can maybe score on them and force them to have to score. They just hadn't done it, man. They shut everybody down. They punch you in the mouth. Auburn forced them to throw a little bit more.
Right.
So I want it. I'm like you. I don't think it's a marquee matchup. I kind of hinted at it before. I go back and look at the stats each week and look at what Kentucky's done when they keep winning these games. And I know that doesn't really tell the whole story, but they're that team that wins games by getting turnovers, playing good defense, being scrappy so far, but they haven't played someone like Georgia. And I do feel Georgia can absolutely shut this team down. And Georgia's playing every game. Like, it's not a game. You haven't seen that letdown. Their defense is doing that thing where they play every game a little more pissed off to prove that last game wasn't an anomaly.
Michael brings up a good point. How does Georgia respond to the first number one ranking in a few generations? That's a good point. Both teams, it's really a question of how do they handle the moment. How does Georgia handle the moment of having all these expectations now? They've had this chip on their shoulder for so long because Alabama has always beaten them and surpassed them, and they've always been the number 2 behind Bama. Well, now they have stepped up on stage. They are the number 1. You know, they are expected to ascend to college football royalty. How do they handle that moment? Do they continue to be the Georgia we've seen the past several games and just absolutely obliterate people? Or do they kind of let it get to them and play just so, and Kentucky makes this to be a more of a game than it should?
I don't know. I hate to see. I don't see how that plays out because I said that last week in College Station and it played out that way. But again, Bama, like you mentioned, they're missing a little bit of that killer mentality, that dog mentality that you like to talk about. Georgia's not missing that at all. They've got that crap in spades. Nakobe Dean, and I talk about him a lot. I wish one of my Georgia buddies was on right now because he was committed to Ole Miss, and in the middle of the night, somehow, he just picked Georgia on signing day, one of those magical things that happens on signing day eve. But look, credit due, that dude is a beast in the middle for Georgia, and they all play with that mentality of just, God, man, they come mean.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like you said, I think ESPN's doing what they can to hype it because Kentucky's got an 8 by their name, but that 8 is really, they could lose the next 3 games. They could lose to Mississippi State. They could lose to, and then that 8 doesn't look, 3 weeks from now, we're wondering.
Yeah, same old. Yeah, man, that defense is just, man, it's like you dialed it back to those old school 1980s, 1990s defenses where they're just ruthless as hell and just beat everybody to submission. I mean, man, it's awesome to watch if you're a defensive fan, especially when we're living in an offensive age. But listen, man, nobody can touch that defense when it comes to the red zone, man. They've only allowed 1 rushing touchdown, 0 passing touchdowns. Man, and that defense is only giving up 5.5 points a game. Think about that. What they've played, 6, 7 games already, and they're only allowing 5.5. And yes, people, I understand some of that's a little skewed. They played UABs, they've played Vanderbilt, they've South Carolina, whoever you want to throw in there. But I mean, it's still impressive to see. And then on the offensive side, people keep on bringing up the fact that the offense is rather anemic. To be honest with you, I don't see it that way. And yes, Stephen A. Smith, I am going against what you're saying. I think Georgia's offense is only doing what they have to do to win.
Yeah.
Let's call it what it is.
There's an element to that for sure.
Yeah, Kirby Smart is not going to make them do more than they should. And let's be honest, Georgia really needs to score only 17 points per game to win. They really do because their defense is that damn good. Now, when they're forced to do it a little bit, like we saw against Auburn, they had to pass. They can. I mean, Stetson Bennett makes some great throws. The mailman.
But is it the Army situation when they finally throw? You're just so damn shocked. It's like the outfielders in a no hitter. When they finally do get a hit, they don't know what to do because they make an error because they haven't been ready.
I don't know.
That's probably stretching. I think it's actually more what you're saying. I think it's just working. That's just more trying to be devil's advocate. But Michael, if you do that, maybe my uncle will know who I am on this show. But you didn't know that, Justin. My uncle gets on last week and then texts my mom after the show. This is how close we are as a family now. When did Daniel grow long hair and a beard? She said, he didn't, you idiot. He's the one in the Ole Miss stuff.
Did he just completely bypass your screen, your square there?
Oh, or the fact that it says Petty. in my screen.
Yeah, it's a trick.
Uncle Mark, if you're watching today, bless you, man. This is me. I'm Daniel. The one that looks like your dad.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the better. I'm the spitting image of my grandfather, his dad.
Mm.
He might have been into the Saturday morning cocktail. I love you, Uncle Mark. You're one of the best. No, Michael, you're gonna have to come back. Doing all this shit takes a lot of work, man. I can't drink and talk and look at all this stuff. What do we got? Georgia's best win is Auburn, so they currently have done just as much as Penn State. Ooh.
Well, yeah.
Michael is not wanting to jump on the Georgia train. Is this just him being burnt from Arkansas still? Is that what that is? I can say that. He'd get all fired up if he was on there.
He does look like he can hold a grudge and be a little bitter sometimes.
He is mad at Georgia. He does not want to give Georgia credit.
He's mad because he didn't listen to me a few weeks back when I told him exactly what to do and his betting for the Georgia-Arkansas game. So I think he's still a little frustrated. Love you, brother.
We'll see. I don't know, man. I do question if Georgia rides all the way into the SEC championship unscathed. I don't want to face Bama in that situation.
Well, 2 points. One, it's hard for me to believe that they can be unscathed because we all have seen it, man. Every year they always pull a Georgia and they lose to a team they have no business losing to, or they do something they shouldn't. It appears right now that they have progressed. They've moved forward from that. They're a better team, better mentality, better focus. But then again, like you said, they haven't really faced adversity. And looking on their schedule on paper, they're not going to until they get to an SEC championship. The second part of what you said, facing Bama, listen, I'm not even talking Georgia. I'm not even talking Atlanta right now as an Alabama fan. I'm talking next game because we don't need to be looking ahead to anything right now because every game right now to us is a playoff game and we got to be dialed in or the Texas A&M situation happens again. So that kind of got us off track. So, yeah, let's get back to that. But, yeah, I like Georgia for now. I'm not yet – Michael, I'm not getting overhyped about them. I just like what I see. I like what I see from the defense. I like that their three-headed monster running back is getting progressively better. And, man, it's at the right time. Those guys are beasts. James Cook, Zamir White, Kendall Milton. Man, those are some dudes. I love James Cook, man. That's Dalvin Cook's little brother. And he looks every bit of his little brother right now. And if he was the lead dog, he'd have better stats, but he's averaging 6 yards a carry. He's very versatile, and he can hurt a lot of feelings. Love him.
I don't know, CK. I think here's the thing we know today. Kentucky can either tell the world that we are legit, that this number 8 ranking isn't, a facade that we've earned through knocking off knocking off Dan Mullen, who's what we just said, good but not great up in Kentucky, which you got to give them credit for that. That's something they haven't done since 1986 or whatever. So they're doing things they haven't done before. Today they get to, I don't know how good we'll know today. We'll know if Cavassier, Smoke, and Levis and crew are that team that can win gritty games and keep it close. If they can keep this game against Georgia close, man, and I hate the whole moral victory horse crap, but for the way Georgia's been beating everybody with the line being 24, you're number 8 in the country and you're a 24-point underdog. That's Vegas doesn't, that's saying something. They don't think that ranking's real either. So you can tell the world by the end of the day that ranking was real, or, everybody gets to say, well, it's what we thought. Kentucky is just a kind of a paper champion.
And you asked how good is Kentucky? I think for the first time in a long time, we can say Kentucky is good, but
they're not stupid, Michael.
They aren't great. They're good, and that's because of what Mark Stoops has done right there. They have made them into a very good, solid, consistent team in the East. Whereas in the past, they were the laughing stock. That's who you wanted on your homecoming. And Kentucky fans basically just waited till basketball season. But they're not bad. Actually, believe it or not, Chris Rodriguez, the running back, is leading the SEC in rushing right now, averaging 6.2 yards per carry. And the best name in college
is the backup.
Is the backup Cavassier Smoke.
Yeah, man.
He's good too, man.
Bless his parents for thinking outside the box, man. Our last name's Smoke.
It.
How can we make Smoke badass?
That's the
Cavassier.
Cavassier.
Look,
But
Michael,
Cavassier is a solid back. I love that guy.
oh yeah, he's they've got talent, man. Stoops is a great coach. You've got to give that guy credit, man. He's doing things that in Lexington that hadn't been done since a guy named Bear walked on those sidelines.
True.
I mean, they are consistently, and I was told someone was asking this, or like, is Kentucky good? I said, well, the last 4 or 5 years they've been going to, not the Independence Bowl or the Poulan Weed Eater or whatever. They've been going to Music Cities. They've been a decent football team. So yeah, that's something they haven't been in the history of their program.
Right.
So what he's doing is unprecedented outside of what Bear did. Michael, because Georgia's not that stupid. They've been around the block. They wore black jerseys one time and got their asses handed to them. They've learned their lesson with poking the Bama. They're not Penn State. They're not the newbies that think they want Bama.
And plus, I don't think Georgia's getting caught up in all this rah-rah and all this outside stuff now. I think they're just pure business mode. So, yeah, you're not going to see those goofy signs, man. I mean, this is a team that's trying to get to that elite level, and they're not going to deal with petty things like that, like some of these other.
Hey, now.
Hey. Oh, sorry.
Why we got to use my name and name?
Because I don't know. Because I'm from Mississippi, my vocabulary is limited, and when I can actually use a word that sounds
an intelligent word,
yes, I'm going to throw it in there.
Intelligent insignificance. I love it. Hickory Smoke. That'd be a good thing. We should just play a game. Ooh. If our last name was Smoke, how could we make it the coolest? I don't know if I could top Cavassier.
That's Cavassier's cousin from the country, from the state.
He's from that same place that what are those man? I wish I could think of some of those crazy towns that some of our Sigma Chi brothers in the Alabama days were from Kentucky. There's some country places in Kentucky.
Oh gosh, yes, man. And they're also responsible for producing Billy Ray Cyrus. Let that sink in.
Is he from Kentucky?
He is from Kentucky. He doesn't really acknowledge it anymore. And I know his daughter doesn't, but yeah, he's from the hills.
No, I don't know what no.
Who knows what she's doing? But anyway, but
yeah, what Cannonball, Paintsville. That's it, Paintsville, Kentucky.
Paintsville.
Hickory Smoke is from Paintsville, Kentucky. Can you imagine what are they doing in Paintsville, Kentucky right now? I guarantee there's a parade or some sort.
They're absolutely.
They are parading. Yeah. They have Tim Couch leading a parade right now in Paintsville, Kentucky.
Yeah, they probably shut down the Walmart so they could do it. Everybody's there.
Well, man, we got another crazy game coming up. It's Lane Kiffin is going back to one of his previous stops. The train is making a stop back in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Yes, you gotta love that in regards to storylines, man. Of course, he's been back to Knoxville several times. But people still gonna play that up a little bit. But this time he's the head coach, so yeah, it kind of takes on a little bit of a different meaning from when he was an assistant with Alabama. But yeah, it's a pretty cool storyline.
He's kind of hushed it off. He said, "Look, guys, I've been there several times. It's no big deal."
Yeah.
The thing is, the interesting storyline is, and I try to catch this before the stupid show, but they were talking about it this morning. But the crazy thing is, you're basically watching a mirror of two offenses. Heupel came from UCF. Levy, Ole Miss's offensive coordinator, came from UCF. And look, I know that the Ole Miss offense also has the Lane Kiffin stamp on it, so it's going to have a little bit different of a look. But you're going to see a lot of the same tonight between Ole Miss and Tennessee. Ole Miss is averaging like 46 points a game. Tennessee's averaging 41. They're 7th in the country. They have got the offense going under, they started out with Milton. They switched over to Hooker at some point. I like just saying that name. They switched to the Hooker. They went with the damn Hooker. Man, Hooker's just kind of getting it done. They're like Ole Miss. You think of Lane Kiffin and these UCF, these high, fast-paced offenses, and you think just throwing the ball. No, they're run first. Tennessee ran for 450 yards against South Carolina. They ran for 250 yards against Missouri. I mean, they're going to run it, and look what Ole Miss can't stop. They couldn't stop Alabama running it. They couldn't stop Arkansas running it. They still hadn't stopped Arkansas running it.
I'd
and
like to
that's what
bring up.
Tennessee's going to do.
Yeah, no, a stat that's not in their favor, like you said, Ole Miss is ranked 108th nationally against the run.
Is that
And
good? Is that
that's not good. That's not good at
no?
all. But what you do well, here's an interesting stat that I didn't even realize, especially with your crew of Snoop Connor, Jaron Ely, and Henry Parrish. Y'all actually fifth nationally in rushing.
Yep. And look, number one in the SEC last year. That's the thing. The Lane Kiffin throws the ball every play is a myth, man. We run
Yeah.
to set up the pass. We do it quick. We run. In the Arkansas game, I think we ran it like 50 times or something insane. Corral only had like 24 passes in a game where we scored 52 points. So,
But
we're going to see
wow,
that a lot today. I think today, and maybe it's going to be who has the better athletes in this game because you're going to see a
yeah.
lot of the same.
Intriguing matchup as Ole Miss's offensive line and Tennessee's defensive line. I'm curious to see how that's going to play out. Ole Miss's offensive line is pretty solid, and of course, the direct response is being fifth nationally rushing. But Tennessee's very good up front. They're also pretty good in the secondary. Pretty cool thing for Bama fans. Y'all might not remember this man from recruiting, but Brandon Turnage was in for
Not cool.
Theo Jackson.
Not cool at all.
He was in for Theo Jackson last week, and he had 13 tackles and was the defensive player of the week. So shout out to former Bama DB Brandon Turnage.
And Oxford turncoat. So I hope we burn your ass all day, Brandon. I hope we make you look. He spent his entire senior year in the Ole Miss practice facility telling them he was going to come to Ole Miss, which I'd get not coming there. We had Matt Luke and y'all are Alabama. I'd have gone, I get it. But he's teasing us, and then he goes to the King at Alabama, doesn't get to play, and when he transfers, he goes to Tennessee. So you know what? I hope you all the limited success today, Mr. Turnage, and I hope you do well the rest of your career. But today, I hope Matt Corral and Drummond and company burn that ass. You sorry turncoat Benedict Arnold.
But he's not bitter at all. But hey, you want to know something that is in Ole Miss's favor right now?
What's that?
As good as Hooker is playing right now, Tennessee is actually surrendering 20 sacks this year.
Ooh. Yeah, but we don't blitz. We run a base 3-2-6.
If you're giving out 20 sacks, you may not have to. It looks like the offensive line is asking you to. And,
Sam Williams, take note. You're not getting blocked by that freak at Alabama this week. You can turn your ears back. Go after this son of a gun.
And this is where I want my guy, Chance Campbell, to do
Chance.
Chance.
Oh, yeah. Well, and man, Ole Miss, and I hate this. I hate seeing this anytime. It happened to Ole Miss in the week of Alabama where we lost Jonathan Mingo in the middle of the week. But Tennessee's leading rusher, Tyon Evans, I heard a report that he got hurt this week in practice and will not be playing tonight.
Wow.
That's look, man, when you're already thin, the big note was
Jabari Small.
Well, and the big thing on Tennessee going into the season was they got killed by the transfer portal. It was a jumping off the ship. So when you're already thin and you're already having to do it, when your best players are getting it done, but when you lose that best player, there's a lot of times a big drop off when you're thin. I mean, that
possibly, but it looks like Tennessee got rid of a lot of cancer.
They did. And they sent one non-tackling. I think they duped y'all.
Man, listen, y'all need to take that back, man. Return to sender. Henry To'oTo'o, man, I'm not going to talk about it. We're talking about other teams right now, but
we were talking about Tennessee and how they duped Bama. I got a buddy who is a huge Tennessee fan who swears Alabama is all the time working behind the scenes to sabotage Tennessee. If that's the case, this was your payback. Y'all sent a mole that can't tackle to the middle of Alabama's linebacking core.
I'll make this point and then I'll leave it alone and get back to our game we're talking about. My bad. No, you're fine. You're fine. My question is Henry To'oTo'o really as good as advertised? When he was at Tennessee, we saw, how great he was, or quote unquote great he was. But if I was to go back and watch tape, would a lot of the problems that we're seeing in Alabama exist? And the reason why they weren't seen is because he was a really good player on a very bad team, and the good things he did far outweighed the bad.
That happens a lot. That happens a lot. Well, Michael segged us kind of back. You wanted to get back to the Ole Miss game. And I don't know, man. Again, I like to play the whole he's a plant and he's just got orange around his heart. Let's go that. That's always funnier. It's a funnier way to go. Michael says, look out for home field advantage in Knoxville. Does Ole Miss already playing in front of a hostile environment and Bryant Denny help them there?
Yes.
Or is it still hostile and then, it is what it is.
Hostile, but I don't think that they can bring the heat of a Bryant Denny Stadium yet. I think they'll be fired up, yes, and just because they have 110,000 running strong there doesn't mean they can match the intensity of some of the other environments that Ole Miss has played in. So I mean, it's going to play into it, but that's not going to be a factor that I'm really just overly analyzing. The question is Tennessee catching Ole Miss at the right time? They just escaped Arkansas. They're exhausted after pulling away from that 1-point victory. Is that the case, or did Ole Miss just took it as, hey, we got beat by Alabama, we bounced back, we licked our wounds, and we overcame adversity and beat Arkansas? They look at it that way and have it as a positive going forward. I'm kind of leaning more towards this. It was a positive. And you know what? Sometimes after you suffer a tough loss, sometimes you just got to survive the next week on that bounce back game. If you do that, then you kind of get your bearings back.
Yeah, you're right. So, man, I'm nervous about this game. I'm not going to lie, but that's just the Ole Miss in me. I saw that. I think the nerves come from the defense gave me PTSD from the previous season. We got a little, and man, I got to give my buddy Wes Roy. He's a coach in Mississippi. I kind of gave him some grief because I thought the offense got a little better. He's like, Petty, just hold off yet. And I'm like, come on, man. They are better than they were last year. I will say that. I still stand on that. But that Arkansas game, sure enough, gave me PTSD back to the Ole Miss team last year that literally had to score 60 every game because the defense was not going to hold in. Opposing teams just didn't bring their punter. So I'm now back to that fear going into every game. Is this going to be another game where Matt Corral has to be perfect, where Ole Miss has to score every time they touch the ball and hope for 2 or 3 stops or a turnover here and there?
But you bring up a good point, though. Matt Corral has been perfect each game this year.
Even against Bama, man.
He was great against Bama, and then he got the monkey off his back of Arkansas. He was horrendous last year, and then he comes back in this year. Man, dude lit it up, and he showed why he's still a Heisman contender. And to be honest with you, I still think he's the number one guy in regards to the Heisman. But there's a lot of maturity with him, and I really like what I'm seeing in Matt Corral.
Look, man, I'm trying. It's one of those things I always tell my Bama brethren. I hope y'all are soaking up this last decade. I know you are. Like, I know they understand how special it is. Well, for Ole Miss, man, we don't always get the titles like that, but we get glimpses of the Eli Mannings, the Chad Kelly runs with Treadwell now. I hope Ole Miss fans are soaking up what we're seeing in Matt Corral, because we almost lost him in the Matt Luke era with Rich Rod. He was going to transfer until Lane came, and look, he hadn't grown as a quarterback. He'll tell you that. He wasn't who he was then until Lane got there. But the growth, even from last year to this year, cutting down the turnovers, man, he didn't cost us the Bama game. Bama's game plan and being better that day cost us Bama game. Y'all's offense kept him on the sideline. But if you look at his stats, he didn't do anything to really hurt. And when you look at guys that have won the Heisman in the past, they've had horrible games. Lamar Jackson had a terrible game, I think, against Houston of anybody. I'm with you, Justin. I know I'm an Ole Miss homer. I don't think you put Matt Corral at Alabama right now. And look, I'm not saying he's better or will be better than Young. Young's basically a freshman playing, but with his experience and you put him on any team, I think he's the best quarterback in college football. He isn't turning the ball over. He's making the right reads. It's been impressive. It's been exciting. So it's one of those things when you got a kid like that, anytime you play, you got a chance to win the game.
Man, I still understand that hire of Rich Rod, man.
That was the wow, man. We had the weirdest collection. And now he's coaching with Terry Bowden. You know that, right? He is now
all more funny. Wow.
He is now the offensive coordinator at La Monroe. Yeah, La Monroe with Terry.
Is it La Monroe or is it Northeast Louisiana? I don't know what it is, or one of those Louisiana secondary schools. But wow, that's pretty interesting.
Oh yeah, and Rodriguez's son is the quarterback. However, I think he had some crazy injury and had to go to like one of
Oh
those like
wow.
appendix rupture or something. But no, Rodriguez is Terry Bowden's offensive man. You talk about falling. That guy had a chance to keep y'all from Nick Saban.
Oh gosh,
Think
man.
about that.
If ever there was a deal that fell through that you're very glad that it fell through. God, man, because
He's
we
better than
actually
none,
we
Michael.
actually did get the commitment from him. He actually committed and was headed to Tuscaloosa, and at the last minute he decided to pull back. And then of course Nick Saban is hired next, and the rest is history. But whoo, we dodged a bullet, brother.
Man, the big so
Man,
many things. And I don't want to get off on that because I'm enjoying talking about my Rebels, hopefully going up to Knoxville. I've never seen us win in Tennessee. The last time they did it was 1983, and we don't play it much. It used to be a game that played every year up until 1990, but when the
oh
SEC
wow,
split, we lost that game. Yeah, it was actually
I didn't know
going
that.
back to, what made Archie, one of the games that made Archie, two games really made Archie Manning famous. The Scott Hunter shootout against Alabama because it
Yeah,
was the first primetime game on national TV at night.
right.
And the second one was against number 3 Tennessee. They had beat Archie like a drum the year before, and their legendary linebacker Steve Kiner made the comment, "Ole Miss is nothing but a bunch of mules," and Archie who, and that kind of led the lore. So Ole Miss Tennessee is an old school good rivalry that died in around 1990.
Yeah.
Kind of excited about. We don't get to go up to Rocky Top very much, so I know that's a big one for y'all. Maybe we can do a little, help out the title a little bit, punch them up, rough them
Yeah,
up.
please, man, take them down a peg because next week, we got them for homecoming of all games. Homecoming, you're supposed to.
Y'all, Tennessee's homecoming?
Tennessee is homecoming. I don't know what it is about Coach Saban, man, but he schedules difficult teams on homecoming,
Can we tell it?
or somehow plays out to be a difficult team on homecoming. We don't ever play, ITT Tech or West Texas Library College like everybody else does. No, we actually have an SEC opponent on our homecoming.
Well, you're
But
Alabama. It don't matter. I
then
don't think
again,
homecoming. I don't think homecoming means what it used to. You know how it used to be like a slap in the face. Oh, you're playing us for homecoming. We're going to get up and kick your butt. I don't think it does that anymore. I don't think anybody gives a shit.
well,
I'm serious. I don't think
yeah,
anybody cares. Or do they? Am I wrong? Maybe I'm
well,
wrong.
uh,
I could be wrong.
I guess, but
I've given
but I
zero
guess
shits about homecoming in a long time
on,
since I
on
tried to get a date.
on the other side of that, man, nobody really expected Tennessee to be ascending right now, and they're playing at a high level. So yeah, we need you all to take them down a peg as they come into Bryant Denny for a night game next week. We don't need their confidence level up. And one of the things that we struggle with right now is stopping the run, and that's what they do well. So yeah, I need some assistance from Ole Miss extended family.
Absolutely. We're doing it, man. I think it's going to come to a talent deal, and I think we got more of it. I think Ole Miss outscores them. I
Yeah.
think it's going to be another high scoring one. Buckle up, Rebels. I think we're going to see like a 52-42 type fiasco. And what sucks, though, it's going on at the same time as you're tied, and I kind of hope y'all get a little bit of revenge because you're playing one of my favorite teams in college football.
Yeah, and we will get to that in a little bit. But listen, I will be in the belly of the beast for this one. I'll be in Starkville.
Oh, you're going?
Yeah, I'm going. We're going to leave.
Clang, 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 clang.
Man, I'm dreading that. And
you take the Motrin, take your headphones, take your earplugs.
And one of the keys to the game is, and I'll get more in depth later after we interview our guest, which is scheduled in 5 minutes.
Coming up.
Is you got to take Mississippi State out early. Don't let them hang around longer than they should. And with that goes getting the cowbells out of the game early. Turn those damn things off. And by the way, for the past 20 or 30 years, we've been hearing they outlawed those from stadiums, that yet they're still in there.
Real outlawed.
And it's funny to me because a lot of Mississippi State fans over here will call Alabama fans redneck. I'm like, do you not realize y'all clang a cowbell?
A cowbell. You're an agriculture school. You were once called Mississippi A&M. You're a farmer's college.
Right.
With that said,
your little keepsake.
As an Alabama fan, who's worse over there? Who gives you more like angst? The red and blue, or the maroon and white and gray and whatever that shit color is. Sorry, Mom. I'm just kidding. Go State. I'm about to hear a cowbell. She's going to run over to my house. She's going to run up here with bringing a damn cowbell here in a minute.
To be honest with you, we've had more angst from the Ole Miss fan base. For whatever reason, y'all have a great disdain for us.
Wait, this year or overall? Like
Over, are you asking? Are you asking?
Yeah,
this
this
year
is
or
an
overall?
overtime. This is not just this year. This is since you living in
Overtime.
Mississippi overtime. Who
Ole
is
Miss and
really?
no slight against you, man.
No, that's fine.
I mean,
I don't live there anymore. I'm a different
I'll just
breed.
say that you are not the norm when it comes to majority of the Rebel fans that are in Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're respectful, you're knowledgeable. You know, you understand the game of football, and when you're not playing whatever opponent that you play that week, you cheer for the other team, and you know you enjoy college football.
Oh, I love college football. Look, man, Ole Miss has been so bad for so long. If I didn't love college football, I'd hate the damn game. There's been so many down years that if I couldn't find joy in the sport, I would have quit watching it. So
Right.
and look, man, I moved to Alabama when I was a freshman in high school, and it taught me to look at football in a different way, man. I was still an Ole Miss fan, but I looked at it through a crimson lens, which is really different, which made it hard to be an Ole Miss fan at times because Ole Miss does so much dumb shit when Alabama does so much to try to win, and Ole Miss is so it makes it difficult at times, but that really shaped my mindset as a fan. But I just never, if anything, I'm loyal. I always stayed true to Ole Miss because I grew up listening to it on the radio. If we were playing baseball, basketball, whatever, I listened to it on the radio. So that didn't quit just because I moved to Alabama, but I did have a reshaping of how I viewed football. So it's interesting to hear your perspective. I didn't know, because I've got a buddy. I mentioned him on the show before. His name's Wes Roy. He coaches at Enterprise in Mississippi. They just won again last night. His son, Trace, had a scoop and score against Clarkdale, Mississippi. But he lives in a very state. He's over in that Meridian area, which is much more state. And he's kind of, you know, he feels, he's kind of said he gets more grief from the state guys, but
I got you. Yeah. We've had some state uprisings here and there, but overall, it's been, you know, Ole Miss. But yeah.
Oh, well, we've got, I know we've got Rudy coming up in just a few minutes. Justin's got to step away for a few seconds. So I guess y'all will get to hear me ramble, or if y'all get any questions, send them my way. But it is interesting to hear Justin's take on that because, like I said, my buddy Wes is over in the Meridian side of things. And he Meridian's very, very state. It's actually state in Alabama. Alabama controls a lot of Mississippi. Look at Justin. When I was living in Northwest, we got another buddy, Richard Franklin, who is now a big red and blue. We switched. He went to Ole Miss and I went to Bama. However, I stayed a fan and he did the smart thing and transferred. Sorry, he closed me out. I guess I need to do the. Man, put me on the spotlight. But so it's interesting to hear that. Man, Rebel fans, don't give those Bama fans over there grief. I mean, I know you get hot and excited, but man, we don't have much to like cool the jets until we start beating the Tide. I know that my co-host Michael loves to talk about this. When he walked out of the Ole Miss game that we won, I don't know if it's the one in Tuscaloosa or the one in Oxford the year before, that he heard someone saying this is the new normal. Like, don't know. No, like, until Saban's not the robot Saban is gone from Tuscaloosa, there's no new normal in the SEC for anybody. He has literally been a coach killer. Yeah, like Orgeron was coaching at Ole Miss when Saban started. He's now at LSU and about to be gone from there, and Saban's still there. He's children from living in Jackson. Ole Miss fans, very classy as a whole. Oh, well, of course. Yeah, Ole Miss has their own 85%ers, and living in anytime you live outside the center, like Tuscaloosa or even Auburn or Starkville or Oxford or whatever, you're going to get the fans that don't always get to go to the campus, but get to go to Walmart and buy a shirt and start cheering for them. And those are usually the fans that give you the most shit and piss you off. It's really interesting. But see if Justin's about to be back. Hopefully we'll have Rudy hopping in. But yeah, Jackson is, but I still think Jackson, it depends on where you live. I lived out in the Rankin area, and Justin will testify to this. That's why I'm kind of shocked by that answer, because Northwest Rankin's very Mississippi State stronghold. It wasn't Northwest ranking a Mississippi State stronghold, kind of.
Yeah, I would say it leaned towards that.
I guess that's maybe why I was shocked, because it was so much more state where we went to school.
But yeah, it was funny you were talking about our buddy Richard Franklin. He grew up an Alabama fan.
I talked about that.
Alabama
Huge
fan.
Bama fan. Went to Ole Miss. I made the comment while you were gone. I said, Richard is one of my closest friends in life. We grew up in Audubon Point together, spent the night together. He loved Alabama, and I loved Ole Miss. He went to Ole Miss, and I went to Alabama. Well, he's now, I think, an Ole Miss fan. I don't think he cheers for Bama anymore, does he?
Well,
or does he? I don't think. I'm pretty sure.
You know, for the most, to be honest with you, man, I haven't since moving.
Well, I think he's actually. I know Richard's actually turned to the red and blue, and my dumb ass stayed red and blue.
Yeah.
He thought, it's y'all's fault. I went to Alabama during the Dubos, Francione, insanity era. Yeah, but you were already an Alabama fan. I was an Ole Miss fan, so I had nothing to really turn the tide to, so to say, in my heart. Maybe it'd have been different if I had Saban there winning all those championships.
But it's Richard actually went to Ole Miss because he wanted to play football. Yeah, he was actually he walked on. So, but yeah, he was a staunch Alabama guy.
He walked on. Oh yeah, at Ole Miss. Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, he did when Tuberville was there. Yeah, he walked on. I don't think he did it very long, but I know he made do it. But yeah, he ended up going there. And then
when I left Northwest in ninth grade, Richard turned into like a tank and a weight room beast, didn't he?
Well, absolutely. Of course, he was already one of the most feared linebackers in our division there. But after his career of football was done, he turned to powerlifting like really hardcore and was very successful.
Oh, really? Well, yeah, I ran into some of the old Northwest crew in the Grove one day from, I think it was Bama, Auburn, and I was looking for Richard, and they said, "Oh, he's bulling around the Grove somewhere." And I said, "What do you mean bulling around the Grove?" It just in reference to the fact he had turned into a beast. So, man, love it. Okay, here we go. So, guys, I'm going to let Justin introduce our next guest that we are pumped to have.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for turning that over to me. What I like to do each Saturday is for the Alabama games, try to bring somebody in that had a great impact on whoever the opponent is we're facing that week in years previous. And there was no man that had a greater impact than our guest today, and that's legendary defensive lineman Mr. Rudy Griffin, who had a pick six against the Bulldogs.
I can't hear you.
In 2005.
He's saying he can't hear, Justin. Can you hear us, Rudy? Can't hear. Having some technical. Yeah, you can keep introducing him. Rudy, he's trying to get in on the.
But yeah, Rudy Griffin was one of the men responsible for one of the most dominant defenses in the Alabama 2000s era, and returned us to national prominence as a defense in 2005. And one of those games in which he shined the best was against the Bulldogs in Starkville, and actually was against his former coach, which is a pretty crazy thing. And we'll definitely talk about that. But excited to have Rudy Griffin on, a longtime friend. I actually worked on the team with Rudy in 2003, my last year, when he just transferred in from Citadel. So,
okay, so he was coaching his. Okay, can you hear us yet, Rudy? Have you been able?
But yeah, definitely has one of the best stories in college football.
Talk Rudy up. I'm gonna try to work him through getting his settings fixed real quick.
I wonder if any of this Mississippi interference is kind of preventing all this Bama from getting in. But I will say, I love the background, Rudy. If you can't, he's going to try to log back in, folks. Yeah. But that background was solid.
Yeah, man, we got to get him on because I want to hear. And I hate to tease this because it didn't come true, but it was kind of late in the week. We almost had another defensive lineman on the red and blue side. And yeah. You didn't know this, but he had an interception his senior year against Mississippi State from the defensive line. So I think we would have captured about every defensive lineman that had a pick against Mississippi State. in today's show.
Anytime a defensive lineman gets to have a moment of glory like that, you definitely got to talk.
Oh yeah.
So we're trying to get him in today, but yeah, this game is a monumental game for Alabama, a bounce back game, a litmus test of where they are right now. So to properly welcome this game in, I had to get my boy Rudy in. He's
oh, that's not what
But as y'all can see, that he's got that Cotton Bowl jersey from 2005 on that wall there. And I'm curious to see how his team did last night. He's coaching over in Georgia now.
You know where I watched that Cotton Bowl? From a dentist chair. I was getting a root canal, and I watched that field goal go through the uprights. Wasn't that the one where it was like a knuckleball?
Yes, it was. Yeah, Jamie Christensen with that knuckleball, that side pocket knuckleball.
I was in Dr. Turnipseed's chair getting my tooth drilled on, who's a huge Bama fan. He's usually at those games. I don't know why he wasn't at it. Oh, crap.
Coincidentally, it's funny we mentioned the Cotton Bowl game. We played against Texas Tech, and their coach then was none other than Mike Leach, who we are facing today. So that's a kind of interesting how everything kind of all ties in today with our guest. And as soon as we can get the
oh yeah, so many.
The ball. Go ahead. Sorry.
He says, yeah, so many dang intangibles. I'm trying to work to get Rudy in. I've got Michael trying to give me some advice on how to get him in. So bear with us, guys. This is the downside of live and trying to get a guest that unfortunately can't hear us. He just dropped back out.
We'll get him in, folks. No worries. Yeah. But it's funny you bring up Michael here. He's doing a lot of talking. Just jump on, Michael. You're lighting up our chat. But hey, last week we had some issues. We eventually made it work, and we have yet to fail you guys on a college football Saturday. Just trust the process.
What's
that?
Which fourth quarter Inner Sandman? You talking about it? What's cool? I know the entrance at Virginia Tech, which is the greatest entrance in all of college football. You agree with that, Justin?
To be honest with you, I've never seen the fourth quarter of Virginia.
I'm not talking about the fourth quarter. I'm talking about he's talking about the fourth quarter Inner Sandman. I don't know where that's at. Tell me where that's at.
Yeah, where's that at?
Oh, at Va Tech. I thought that was the entrance. They do it in the fourth quarter too. Have you not seen their entrance to Inner Sandman, where all the lights go out and they're walking through the dark tunnel and the whole stadium's rocking Inner Sandman? It's the best in college football.
To be honest, man, I have not seen it, and I know. Shame on me. I should be put in the box of shame as a college football fan and somebody who claims to be a Saturday morning analyst. But,
no, man. Again, I default back to the okay. We're gonna try Rudy one more time. I always default back to the I have to watch a lot of college football. All right, Rudy.
I hear you. We got it.
Right.
Look at God.
Yeah, we got it. Good to go now.
All right, I'm going to let Justin, our Alabama guru, introduce our Alabama legend today.
Let's do it again. Let's try it again. Guys, I'm very excited to have a good friend of mine, former Alabama legend on the defensive line, Mr. Rudy Griffin, who was responsible for a very pivotal play against Mississippi State in 2005. And when a defensive lineman has a chance of glory like what he did, we got to talk it up. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me bring in one of the men who are responsible for one of the best defenses in Alabama history, defensive lineman Rudy Griffin. What's going on, Rudy?
Man, what's going on, man? Glad to be here, man, and good to see you again too, boss.
Oh, absolutely, man. It's always fun to have you on whenever we can. Before we get into the matter at hand, first of all, how did your team last night do? Like I mentioned before, guys, he's coaching over in Georgia now. got some dudes on that defensive line. If you have been watching the Bama Standard Twitter account, I tweeted out one of his guys doing 500 on squats, man, dropping it low, and driving it up, looking really good. So,
yeah.
Man, talk up your team, man. What's going
Yeah,
on?
Is it Lowndes?
It's Lowndes. It's Lowndes County High School in Valdosta, Georgia. And
powerhouse.
Yeah, powerhouse program that's rich in tradition. But man, we had a tough game last week. It was our first region opener, and so you know that anytime that you play in a region opponent, man, it's always going to be tough, man. And so we end up winning. We won 26-7, and so got our first region win, man, and put us in the right contention to compete for that region championship against next week.
That's what's up, man. Glad to hear you doing big things. And how's that young man doing that I posted on my Twitter, man? He looks like
he's doing good. His name is Jaden Battle.
Yeah.
And he's doing real good, man. He had a good night last night. He's just a junior, and he'll be a senior next year, man. Young guy, man, strong, man. He's arguably the strongest squatter on our team.
I love to see it, man. And I gotta ask it. Going into a senior year next year, is that Alabama influence kind of pouring over on him yet, or?
Man, you know what? It's far and few between the Alabama guys on our team, but he's actually one of the few that is Alabama. Yeah, he is Alabama fan. Jaden is, and so man, me and him kind of hit the road tide every now and again. And all the Georgia fans.
Man,
you're in enemy territory.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Hey, no doubt. It's fun though, man. And Georgia got a tough one this week.
They do. Do you think Kentucky? I mean, is that number 8 next to the name real, Rudy, or is Georgia's been, that defense has been nasty.
Yeah, it has, and the thing is this, man. I think I know, man. We all know Georgia's gonna play good defense, man, and my question is just how good is the quarterback, and when he's actually going to have to be put in the test to actually really do something. And I know everybody says he just can be a game manager, but at the end of the day, you got to score points to win. You can't just hold somebody to 0 and you score 0. Somebody got to score, and so that's the thing, man. I want to see how good the quarterback really is. I'm talking about Stetson Bennett, and want to see how he does. But I think Kentucky's got a chance, man. I really do. This is not the Kentucky of old, man. I think Kentucky has a chance, man. Now, I would have felt a lot better if they was playing in Lexington, but they're playing in Athens. So I still think Georgia might squeak it out, but I don't know. It could be an upset, man. I mean, it's going to be closer than what everybody thinks now.
Yeah. And one of the things you said, this is a new age Kentucky, but one of my things is Kentucky hasn't really faced the big moments, Can you talk about what that means to play in that big moment? And for a team that's not really used to that kind of atmosphere, how hard it is to really play up to that?
Yeah, man, it's difficult, man. It's just like, football players and coaches, man, we kind of creatures of habit. And so if you've been in games, you've been in situations where you had to, play, it was, nut cutting time, so to speak, down to the wire and, go back and forth, man. You kind of get used to that, man. You don't let nothing fluster you. And Georgia's kind of been in those games, man. They done played, some tough opponents, man. And I'm interested to see it, man. I really am. I'm tuned in, man. I got a coach on our staff, man, that I'm coaching here at Lowndes. He's a huge Georgia fan, and me and him kind of go back and forth a little bit. And so I'm interested to see. I'm actually rooting for Kentucky, but I'd highly doubt it.
Well, man. I don't know, Rudy. Man, we were talking about this kind of before you came on. If Georgia goes unscathed all the way to that championship game, and if Bama, gets back up off the mat and does what we think they can do,
for sure.
I would kind of like them to be, if as Bama going in, I kind of like Georgia to be undefeated, not had that first punch in the mouth, because that first punch has got to come sometimes.
Oh yeah.
As great as Saban is, he's only done it twice where he's gone undefeated.
Ain't no doubt. I was telling somebody at the last week, because everybody, when Bama lost, it was like the biggest celebration across the world. It seemed like everybody was excited. And But and the same thing I told Fudd, I said, listen, Saban's only been undefeated twice of all the national championships he's won. I mean, last year was an anomaly. He went 15-0 with all SEC schedule. I mean, that's not normal.
It's bananas.
And so
that's like a double undefeated.
That's double undefeated. And so we felt this before. Alabama has a few times before. I remember when Hugh Freeze beat us and Ole Miss, and everybody came out, even Paul Feinbaum, and said the dynasty is over. And
it was Cowherd. It's done.
Yeah, it was Cowherd. Yeah, said the dynasty was over, and so we saw how that go. We went to win 3 or 4.
I'm glad it's over. Hell, if it wasn't, y'all have like 17 more times.
Ain't no doubt. Ain't no doubt. So
thank goodness it ended.
Ain't no doubt. So I think, man, I think it was a big wake up call for Bama, man. Our young guys needed that. They really did, man, because it's hard to tell. It's hard to teach kids, the experiences of losing until you don't lose, man. You got to realize they haven't lost in like 3 years, and so so it was, it's hard to explain that to them, man. So now I think they're gonna respond well to it.
And one of the things that I've talked about at length was in years past, like you mentioned, Alabama suffered a loss, but they were able to bounce back and go straight to a national title. But one of the biggest reasons for that was the leadership, incredible leadership. And when they got hit in the mouth and they took that L, it kicked them in the butt. And they got up and they kicked everybody else in the butt. And we had some straight dogs. I mean, that's for sure. It's overused right now. I've said it so much. And former
especially
players,
considering who you're playing today. Can we use another term and dogs?
I guess
Like those redneck.
But talking to former players, they have all echoed the same thing. They just don't feel like we have those dogs or that leadership we've had in the past. I don't know. What's your take on it?
Yeah, I just think there's a bunch of young guys, man, and those guys are young, and they grow. It's going to be growing pains with it, man. We got a true freshman quarterback. They're young, man.
He's a rookie. When you get paid that much, you're a rookie.
Yeah, I got you. You're right. I need to change the terms now, man. They able to legally get paid. But
he's a rookie.
You're right. But so man, it's just growing pains, man. And there's still great players out there now. I mean, don't get it twisted. I mean, they still are great football players. They just young, man, and growing pains. And then also that, man, they got, every year Coach Saban lose a bunch of coaches. Young man is phenomenal. Every year to use coordinators after assistant coaches, and to keep the standard as high as he has, man, with young players, man, there's going to be some growing pains. And it's not the end of the world. We lost one football game to a team that was preseason number 6. That was Texas A&M actually is, they're the one that's undershooting themselves, man. That's a great football team, I think.
One of the top defenses in the SEC, and they showed it that night.
Ain't no doubt. And the environment. Did you see those fans? I mean, it was crazy.
It was unreal, man. I mean, it looked like off the Richter scale. It was so.
Ain't no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah, Rudy, we've dubbed that on our show. I do a show with another Bama guy that's not on today, and we call it the Bama Test, because when LSU lost Joe Brady and all the Bradys and Solaire and all them, everybody's like, oh, well, they're going to keep them. Like, here comes the Bama Test. Every year, Saban loses coaches. He loses top talents to the league, and every year he replaces them. And everybody, and every year, oh, how are they going to do it this year? What's the Bama Test, man? He's created this test that not everybody can do. Clemson's starting to struggle with it, Yeah.
Well, the thing is this, and I forgot who said it. I read it somewhere. Bama, it's not really fair, but it's what Saban's built. Bama's measured on perfection, and everyone else is measured against Bama.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so so it's, hey, Bama, you got to go. You got to be perfect, and everybody else has got to be Bama.
Yeah.
And so, it's hard, and so they're going to be okay. They're going to be okay. I feel sorry for Mississippi State because they're going to feel it today now. I really do.
I think so too, man. History has kind of proven that you don't want Bama this week at all. Rudy, I got to ask, man, when you go to the sideline as a defensive lineman with a pick 6, how much shit are you talking to them DBs? Like, that's how you do it, son.
Hey, listen, I'm not talking anything. Hell, I was out of breath when I scored.
You're used to running 3-yard sprints.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, I was asking for the oxygen mask.
Yeah.
Are them cowbells, or am I not just breathing anymore?
No, it was after I caught my breath. A couple series later, I was able to go back out and talk some trash. But hell, right after I was sucking wind.
That's a perfect intro into the story, man. If you would, we've talked about it. We touched on it, bringing you in, man. That was a very pivotal game for Alabama. Of course, at that point, we were undefeated in 2005, seemingly en route to another national title. And we had a defensive battle that day on both sides of the ball, which is so different than from what we're facing today. But you had a pivotal moment, man, where you turned the game around and you really put Bama ahead for good. If you would, man, talk about that moment, your moment.
Yeah, well, it was, that time, man, at the time we was number 3 team in the country. We was rolling, man. I can't remember if it was 7-0, 6-0. I can't remember. We was undefeated. And we was playing the Mississippi State team that was okay. It wasn't great. It was okay, man. I think that year they might have had beaten Florida or something like that. Something crazy, some win or something like that. And so we went in there, man, and man, we were struggling, and of course we were struggling anyway after we lost one of our best players on offense, man. And so we were still trying to search and find ourselves offensively after Tyrone Prothro went down. And we was kind of going back and forth with them and Mississippi State in the game. And man, the play happened. I kind of did what I was taught to do. What my defensive line coaches taught us. They ran a screen pass. Our offensive line kind of gave it 2 kick slides and then ran out and ran the screen, released on the screen release, and I got in the hip pocket of the offensive line, like what I'm taught to do. And man, it just was like in slow motion, just like the movies, honestly. And they threw it right to me, and I caught it. And I was just saying in my head, make sure I'm not running the wrong way. I didn't want to be a highlight running the opposite way. And so I caught it and I did it. And it felt like it took forever, but it really wasn't that far. It was 20 yards, but it felt like it was 117 yards.
Like your legs just running in slow motion.
Yeah. So man, it was a great feeling, man. It was something that you dream about to score, and especially in a conference game, an SEC football game, a point in the game where it was needed. It wasn't like it was mop-up time. It was something that was needed and help us win the football game. And, it's something I tell my kids about, my players about, and they laugh about it, don't believe it, but it was long, long time ago.
Hey, and you made them cowbells go silent.
Oh, silent. Well,
yeah.
Hey, listen. Hey, the cowbells it was close to going silent. We did that. It was deafening. You could have heard everybody talking.
Absolutely. Matter of fact, you are defensive player of the week for that effort, man. Yeah. And I remember watching it, man. I was sitting in the chair, fell out of my chair. I was screaming and yelling, "Yeah, that's my boy, it's Rudy!" Like I worked with this guy when he first got to Alabama. I knew your journey, I knew your story, which is one of the best stories ever, like I mentioned before. But one of the other intriguing parts of this was you kind of had a full circle moment, if you will, in that game against Mississippi State because of one of the coaches on the Mississippi State sideline. For the fans who aren't familiar with that, would you mind telling that story?
Well, yeah, my just a shortened version of it. My first 2 years in college, I didn't start at the University of Alabama. I started at the Citadel. And my head football coach at the Citadel who recruited me was a guy by the name of Ellis Johnson. And Ellis Johnson, everybody in SEC, if you're an SEC fan, Ellis Johnson. He's been defensive coordinator everywhere in the conference. Just so happened to be that my head football coach, my former head football coach, Coach Ellis Johnson, was the defensive coordinator at Mississippi State. And, I scored a touchdown there. They wanted to put the game away to help us win a football game and keep our undefeated streak and hopes of playing for our national championship. And so I'm doing media after the game, they answering questions and everything like that. And once it was over, someone says, "Hey, Rudy, you got a visitor." And I was like, "Visitor outside of?" I said, "Man, I don't know nobody in Starkville." And so I walks out, and this is my old former head football coach, Coach Ellis Johnson. And, I got a chance to, man, he gave me one of the biggest hugs and just told me how proud he was of me, man. But so it came full circle, man. And, that I left and he left, and it happened to be one of my biggest players in my career that he was there. So he kind of saw it all.
And it's Rudy, funny.
I want to let Justin jump back in, but from an Ole Miss fan, and he mentioned this before, as an Ole Miss fan, you got to love football, or you just don't, because they've got so many bad years, you're going to hate it. So I love the beauty of it all, and I don't think many fans understand that. When you look at these rivals and you hate the other team, or I hate that team, there's so many connections like that from sideline to sideline that fans just don't get, that are a little bit deeper than the teams hating each other on the field. That's really beautiful. That's awesome.
No doubt. Hey, no doubt. And that's the same thing. Like, when we talking about Auburn. Auburn's one of our biggest rivals. But a lot of those guys at Auburn, we grew up playing ball with them. Especially the guys from the state of Alabama. They know them, and so it was. We want to beat them bad, but after the game, man, it's like, man, that was my high school teammate.
And that's your homies. Yeah.
That's my guy, so it goes a little bit deeper, man. And, the fans take it to the next level, but,
that Alabama-Auburn rivalry, it's funny you bring that up. I've always joked, because I am from both sides. And it's funny, Justin living in Mississippi gets to see both sides of the Iron Bowl, Egg Bowl. I've always seen the fans now are insane in Alabama when it comes to Iron Bowl. The teams, you don't see Alabama-Auburn fighting on the field. It is a very respectful rivalry between the teams. Whereas in Mississippi, you talk about that camaraderie. Apparently they hate each other in high school, because them jokers are fighting every damn year. But I've always appreciated that about the Iron Bowl, is as much as the fans fight it out, man, the teams fight it out during the game, but when it's over, there's a lot of that.
Well, it used to be. Now the team that we did do that to now, but it's not even close anymore. It was Tennessee. It's not even close. It was that type of rivalry against University of Tennessee, but now, man, that's not even fun anymore to play.
Well, I got two girls that are 16 in high school, hadn't seen Tennessee beat Bama.
Exactly.
Sorry, Rocky Top is what it is.
Matter of fact, Rudy was responsible for breaking that streak that Tennessee had.
Splitting the T in Knoxville.
Yeah, we did in 2005. Had one of the biggest plays, man. And that was a long time ago when you scoring when we won the game 6-3, man, and that was a three field goals. That was all the points that were scored that whole game.
People wouldn't know how to react if that happened.
They would literally lose their mind if they saw a football game like that now.
It doesn't happen at all. It's hilarious, and I feel so old too when you say so long ago, 2005. To me, it feels like
that long ago.
And of course, you don't age, Rudy. So
yeah. I look back. Yeah, it's the same. It does feel like it was yesterday, but you look back at it, that's 27 years ago.
Oh gosh,
I feel like it.
Oh wow, man,
that's getting close.
Yeah,
it's getting close. It's getting close to 20 years, man. And so, man, that time is flying, man. And so, but man, that was one of the biggest plays to kind of break that streak. The last time Tennessee beat was my junior year in college. That was 2004 when we played them at their place. That was the last time. Mm-hmm. And so, man, I don't see Tennessee getting any closer.
No. I do say this, man. Heupel's probably the best hire they've made in the whole show of hiring.
I agree.
It's just, do they have the patience? I think Tennessee still sees themselves as Tennessee from 1995, and it's not that program anymore. They can't recruit the way they used to nationally. Yeah. It's going to take a dude it's going to take them the time that it takes an Ole Miss or an Arkansas. They're no longer Alabama or Florida in that ability to do it that quick. But I think the guy, he runs the same offense that Ole Miss is running. So it's
yeah. Well, the thing too, man, Tennessee, man, just to and I know folks gonna get mad as listed, but the high school football in Tennessee is not that good. So you don't have a lot of players. And so when Tennessee was good, it was robbing Alabama and Georgia from all
Miami, California.
Yeah, so they was robbing players, and so now it's not cool to play at Tennessee now. And kids don't know. They don't know how great Tennessee used to be, and so they don't care nothing about what national championship won in 1998. I don't mean nothing to the kids now.
No, they don't know. They don't know those teams. It's funny you bring that. That's a lot of people forget that from our era that remember the Nebraska. Those kids don't remember those teams. They don't remember that Florida State was one of the best teams of our generation.
Hey, no doubt. Or Miami.
Miami was scary. Yeah. Oh,
Like,
look,
Oh, yeah.
I joke, man. We used to, because not every game was on TV. You would get your 1 or 2 SEC games, which is usually Alabama or whoever. But then you got Florida State and Miami, which was like the pros.
No doubt.
Dudes.
Ain't no doubt. Ain't no doubt. No,
But
so
now
man.
that's Alabama now. You see kids in Pennsylvania on some news special at a school, and they got a Bama T-shirt on, Bama sweatshirt.
Yep.
Yeah, and jumping on that same idea,
Great
Alabama, majority of their recruits are coming from everywhere but Alabama. And do y'all feel like that the rivalries are losing a little bit of its luster to the players just because they don't fully understand the Alabama-Auburn war and the history behind it?
I think just a titch, but I don't think it's never going to go anywhere, man. That's just it's. Man, you once you become part of the Alabama family, man, it get put in your DNA, man. This is what it is. You got to beat Auburn, you got to beat Tennessee, you got to dominate when you get out there, man. And it's just something that's just been inculcated from the beginning of time, man. And that's something that Coach Paul Bear Bryant started, and it's been rolling ever since. So I don't think it has, but the thing about it now, man, Bama's just at a different level now, man. It's like you say, recruiting nationally, man. I mean, they can go, anybody in the country, heck, the world knows the University of Alabama, honestly. They know the brand. They see that script there, and they know what it is.
Yeah. Well, that's what I say. You turn on I was watching a TV special from Pennsylvania, had nothing to do with sports the other night, and the kid had on a Bama hoodie. It's like,
yep.
It's national. Man, I hate to go back real quick. Alan made a good point, though. You're talking about the national recruiting. And we were talking about TV. Well, Tennessee and Nebraska used to be on TV all the time.
Yep.
Florida State and Miami were on TV all the time.
All the time.
Well, guess what? Now you can watch Mississippi State, Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
You watch every SEC team just like you can those. It's kind of leveled that playing field.
Yes.
And then you got the machine that is Bama.
Yeah. I think those TV deals helped them out, man. Like just like you said, like the networks and like the SEC network and Big 10, Big 12, all those networks, man. Now you can see all those other teams. Yeah, and back when they just used to show those 4 or 5 football teams, the Florida States, the Miamis, and heck, I never really saw Alabama on TV, honestly. I mean, not nationally.
No, you got Notre Dame against whoever they were playing.
Yeah, you would see Notre Dame, and I used to hate it, but I watched it because you love football. Like, man, why is Notre Dame on national?
Well, you just watched so you could cheer for Purdue and Army and all the weak teams they played.
Exactly.
And hope one of them beat them.
Speaking of things that we're not used to, I want your opinion on this. The defensive line of Alabama right now playing up to what we said, the Bama standard. When you played, and then you go back to guys like John Copeland and Eric Curry, and the endless names that have played along that defensive line throughout the history of Alabama, we never got pushed back. We were never tested, and quite honestly, we dared people to cross the line. Now we're giving up way too much. And of course, my co-host on the Bama Standard, Marvin Constant, is a huge advocate of removing a certain coach, so much so that he has printed a whole shirt line advocating that. And I'm not asking you to advocate that at all, but being a part of the Bama Standard yourself, how frustrating is it to see what's happening along that defensive line right now?
Well, I'm frustrated, man. I think. And I think it's not the end of the world, because I think, and I've heard that. I heard a lot of people say that, and I was talking to somebody about this the other day about it. And I know everybody want to get rid of, quickly to point to the defensive coordinator, but people don't realize, and I know I'm going to shock a lot of folks when I say this, is that I honestly don't think it's the defensive coordinator. I honestly think it's the offensive coordinator, and I'm gonna tell you why. The offense, offense and defense have to marry to each other. They have to fit. It has to go together. And Pete Golden, he was our defensive coordinator last year. Now we went 15-0. But look at the offensive coordinator. The offense matched the defense. So now I think that you look at the offensive coordinator we hired. Coach, I know it's still Saban, but it's still the offense that we hired, Bill O'Brien. I think that Saban took some steps back to the old Saban. He had gotten away from the kind of the NFL type style. It was wide open. Had our Lane Kiffin, Steve Sarkisian, all those guys that was throwing the ball around and moving it, kind of fit. I just don't think the offense fits with the defense. And if anybody needs to go, I think the offensive coordinator needs to go. To me.
Well, the only game where he complimented the defense so far has been that Ole Miss one. Where
no doubt.
Ole Miss on the sideline, they ran the ball, they stuck with the run and didn't deviate from it. Where they did deviate from it several times against A&M, and that's it, man. I love that take, man. It's funny you say that because the fans are all over Pete Golden. And look,
I know
a lot of people that know. Look, man, I don't want to just say the fans because look, Marvin Constant was the dude when I was in high school in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I was there when Marvin was there. I know he knows his football. But I've also heard from other coaches that said what you said, man. When the defense was working good, you give Saban credit, but it goes bad, you blame Golden. And last year we were undefeated. You got a lot of young guys. You got a sophomore in Anderson trying to step up and be the leader. You've got an injury in that first game of the year that was really, like Justin's mentioned several times, when you don't have that complement to Will, that's been a big deal. It's funny, man. It's funny hearing you say that because I think that'll shock a lot of people. But I think a lot of people that coach or in the industry kind of feel the way you do, Rudy.
Yeah. And just like you said, don't get me wrong. Now, defense not great, but it's not. I don't think that's the huge problem. Because also we don't have a bulldog. I don't think we have a bulldog at the linebacker spot.
Yeah,
and I think that's been the difference.
Harris, it's supposed to be Harris. And he hadn't done it.
He's not. He hasn't, and so I don't think when you look at the history of Alabama being really, really good here recently, when they won all these they had boy dogs at that Mike linebacker spot.
Ragland.
Yeah.
Upchurch.
No doubt. I mean, you can just name off the guys. Rolando McClain. I mean, you just name them off. And good so Lord. The Mike linebacker, those guys in the middle that was boy dogs. We don't have one yet. And I ain't saying that we can't one develop and turn into one, but right now we don't have one.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. And I do agree with you on Bill O'Brien. That's another side that I've seen. Even Marvin has seen it because he's printed T-shirts for him too.
You know Marvin, Rudy? I'm assuming.
Yeah, I do. I do.
Marvin is lit.
But it's frustrating, especially watching that Texas A&M game was frustrating. It really was, man. But honestly, man, I think to me, honestly, I think when Saban made that hire, man, it was baffling to me, man, because I feel like he took some steps back to the old Saban when he went there. I think he went to a safe hire that he's kind of got comfortable with. He went away from what he was successful with. And to me, if he can get rid of him, I think that it'll be totally different.
Well, and this may be here comes the fan perspective of it. When you look at it from a 36,000 foot view, O'Brien came from having Deshaun Watson and working with a quarterback that was mobile. And I guess I kind of expected it, if he was able to make it work offensively with Watson in the pros, that he could do the same with Young.
Yeah. This is the thing that I look at. Like I look at Steve Sarkisian last year. And how innovative he was. And of course, everybody knows Steve Sarkisian is different. But Lane Kiffin is different. But I'm talking about a young, innovative mind guy. You think about Devontae Smith. All those touches he had, the creative ways he got, the way to get him the football. And now we've got a guy that's, I'm saying he's Devontae, but heck, he's good. I'm talking about, number one, what's his name again? I forgot his name. Emerson Williams.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We got to find ways to get him touches besides just running go balls.
He looked the best in the game against A&M to me, or after they had the ball.
Yeah. Let's put him in the slot. Let's motion him around. Let's put him in all those different ways, and even the running back. Find ways to spread them out. That's why Najee Harris was so great. They motioned Najee Harris out. He was out there in the slot. He was swinging them. He was finding ways to get him the football. Our offense right now is so vanilla, and I think that's the problem.
I think it's vanilla too because up until recently, with Jamison Williams really starting to emerge, the wide receivers have been inconsistent. You're having drops all of a sudden. John Mechie, who is usually sure-handed making drops, Jaleel Billingsley making drops. So you really haven't had that dominating wide receiver presence. But then again, too, whenever B-Rob starts establishing the run game and just gashing people, Bill O'Brien will also turn away from that and try to force the pass again.
Yeah.
But now you got
represent.
Jameson starting to emerge, and he can take the pressure off of John Mechie, which should open things up, I think. But you got to be creative. You definitely.
I think you got to be creative, man. You got to be creative, man. I really do, man. I think you just got to be creative with it, just like you say. Find ways to get Mechie, find ways to get Jameson, find ways to get B-Rob out on a linebacker. The things that they was doing last year. I mean, you look at the championship game when they had Devontae all over the field. I mean, they had him one time at the number one, all the way out, the number one receiver. Next thing he was at the number 3 receiver on a slow Mike linebacker blowing by him. I was like, man, look at all the stuff they was doing. And
that's a good point. And that's the Sarkisian Kiffin deal, man. They are so good about creating the mismatches and putting your players in positions where the dudes on the other team can't cover them because you're getting your best off the best.
Yeah.
And maybe that's that Bill O'Brien where he's so used to the NFL, everybody's the best, so it's all best on best. And
so you don't move. So you don't move people around. You just kind of just line up and play. Well, we don't need to do that. I think we need to get. To me, I think we need to get back to doing that more, man, and just take advantage of the matchups.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things I want to touch on before we head out is a lot of people kind of question our want to right now and that dog mentality, and that's something with you that was never questioned. Your story, like I said, is absolutely amazing. You walked on to the University of Alabama. You weren't guaranteed a spot. You left a guaranteed spot at the Citadel, and you came and you basically had a sit-in at the athletic office with your VHS tapes. I know we're dating ourselves by saying VHS tapes.
Yeah, I know, right?
But yeah, you sat at the complex for what, 8-10 hours?
Man, it was all day. It was all day from in the morning till nighttime.
And you basically you forced those coaches to give you that opportunity. And if you would, man, kind of give us a summed up version of your story and how you went from a walk-on to arguably one of the best to play defensive line at Alabama.
Yeah, well, I mean, I always feel humble when you talk about the best, man, because I feel like I'm a long way from that. But I honestly, man, it was one of those situations where as a childhood, it was a childhood dream of mine to play for the University of Alabama, but just wasn't blessed to do that. Wasn't the biggest, wasn't the tallest. Now I'm not teeny, but I wasn't 6'5", nothing like that. And so just had to take an alternate route. So, it came time after my second year at the Citadel, was a 2-year starter there, and went to Coach Ellis Johnson, told him I want to transfer, and he said no. He said, no, I'm not releasing you. And so we kind of went back and forth on that. And I understand that. You're talking about a 2-year starter, talking about trying to leave. And it wasn't no transfer portal then. It wasn't easy to leave in. And so he eventually gave my letter of release. And so me, my sister, my dad, they hopped in my car. We drove down to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and sat in there all day with my VHS tapes. And we waited and waited and waited and waited. And the first coach that came out and talked to me was Coach Randy Ross. He was the director of football operation at the time. And he kind of gave me the whole spiel. He gave me the whole spiel about, hey, we got, just give me your tapes. And, the whole walk-on deal, like you kind of bothering them. And I said, well, Coach, I done drove here from Augusta, Georgia, 6 hours. Could you, let me know what you think? And he said, okay, Rudy, we're in a meeting. It's going to be all day. I said, man, I ain't got nothing but time. And so he did. He gave me he took the tapes back, and man, it was a long time again. I mean, I was in there waiting. I mean, I ate lunch on the floor in the right in front of the reception office. So we sat there all day, and then they came back out. The defensive ends coach, Coach Paul Randolph, comes out and he says, "We saw your tape, and we'll let you know." And so Justin, that day when I left, I left actually really with nothing. Honestly, it was just kind of like, hey, Rudy, we'll call you and let you know. But I felt like I got something out of it because I talked to a coach, and so he eventually they called me right before camp started and said that one of the scholarship guys was academic ineligible. We got room for you? Would you come and be the 105? I said, Coach, I'm on my way. And so I hopped in my car and got there. Man, ended up being a walk-on, ended up being a 2-year starter there, man. And man, the rest is history.
That's awesome. That's what makes college football great right there, Rudy. Your story, man.
Well, the crazy
Awesome.
thing is one of
Awesome.
the best parts about it. After that first year you were there, which is when I met you, you were actually contemplating leaving, and you had your stuff packed, and you went back to Georgia, and you didn't know because of the financial reasons that if you'd be able to go back. And then on Christmas, you get a phone call from Coach Shula you weren't expecting, and they said, "We don't normally do this, but we're going to give you a scholarship." Man, that's still powerful, and I still get chills from that, hearing stories like that.
Yeah, and I know, and the thing about it, man, a lot of coaches now, they make a whole big media deal about it, man, and have videos, and when they give walk-on scholarships, man. Our deal was totally under the radar, man. Nobody knew about it. I was actually told not to even say nothing until after the spring. Yeah, Coach Shula and Coach Randy Ross, like, don't say nothing until after the spring. I don't want to make a big deal about it, nothing like that, man. So he did, man. It came after my first year there, which was 2000 and after my redshirt year, after the 2003 season.
Yeah.
I came to coach, and man, I couldn't afford it, man. I did. I did good. I had one scout team player of the year, and coach was saying, I went to him and said, "Coach, I can't afford to go here." And he said, Coach Shula and Coach Randy Ross, after I sat down with him, they told me, say, "Hey, we appreciate everything you've done for us, but we don't have any money." And so I did. I packed my stuff up, went home, and was trying to contemplate my next move, where I'm going to go, and really was lost, honestly. And I got that phone call from a number I didn't recognize, which is a Miami number, a Florida number, and picked it up, and then recognized the voice, and it was Coach Shula calling me, and he said, "Hey, Rudy, I'm gonna keep it real brief, and just want to tell you that I'm gonna put you on full scholarship." And said, "We normally don't do that after one semester. We kind of let guys do it for a year or two." And he did. He rewarded me with that full scholarship, man. And I came back, and man, that motivated me, man. And so I went back and took that starting spot.
And then took the starting spot, no less.
He did.
I just came back instead as that's awesome stuff, man.
Man, yeah. I've actually told that story so many times, but the thing is, I never get tired of hearing it. And, and I want these young kids to hear this story about working for it and overcoming adversity and seeing how God can bless them in the long run. I do have to did Coach Ellis refuse to let you leave the Citadel because he foresaw what you were going to do to him in Mississippi State?
No. Hey, I tell you what, he must have been a prophet, but no, I don't think so. I don't think so, man. He just at the time, and I understand, man. He was losing a starter. He was losing a 2-year defensive starter, man, and he didn't want me to go off of that, man. But nah, heck nah.
Well, what was that? So you had that win against State where you got to see Ellis in that moment. What was the biggest win while you were there? Was it
our biggest win was there had to have been starting our year off 2005 was University of Florida. And that's Urban Meyer's first year. Mm-hmm. And he came in, back when I played, everybody in the SEC ran the same offense, really. Everybody got in the eye, and they hand the ball off up the middle, and pretty much did the same stuff. And so when they hired Urban Meyer, it was kind of something different because Steve Spurrier had Steve Spurrier had kind of fizzled out. He was gone for a little bit, and he came back to South Carolina, I think my second year there. Yeah. But they was hiring him to bring the spread to the SEC, something different. And so they hired him, and he was saying that, they were, at the time we was ranked, they was ranked like 5 or something like that, 4 or 5. And we was way down the line rankings. And he was talking about what it was going to do to us, not being able to see the spread. And man, we opened up a whole can of what on them.
Yes, you did. Man, you and Mark Anderson and Rowan Harper, man, and D'Amico. God, just so many great names. But as one unit, man, y'all were a great team to watch.
Yeah. We was a bunch of underdogs, man. We was a bunch of 3 stars, no stars. And, we thrived off that, man. And everybody overlooked us. And, so we went out there, man, and we just, we came together and we knew we was going to be good, man. Honestly, we did, man. We sat down in the summer and sat down as a group of seniors and just say, man, this is what we got to do to be great. Everybody got to buy in. And, man, and we did, man. We bought in, man. And credit to our coaches, man. We had a great some great defensive coaches, man, that, with Coach Cons being our defensive coordinator, man, that Coach Cons will motivate you to go out there in the middle of June to second practice and go out there and play like it's a Super Bowl, man. He was a master motivator.
Loved him. I absolutely love that guy, man.
Cons was good.
And I was kind of hoping Coach Saban would have kept him on when he got hired, man. I just love the relationship he had with the players. And like you said, he was a great motivator. You love to hear him talk.
Man, no doubt, man. We would sit back, man, and, man, and people don't understand, man, like, playing in the SEC is fun. It's one of the best experiences you can experience, but the preparation is the hardest part, man. It's the grind. It is literally a grind. And good football coaches like Saban and some of those guys go on to win champ, Dabo, those guys that do it, man, is to get the players to buy in to the grind. Because on Saturdays, everybody want to go out there and win on Saturday. It's the grind and the preparation that people lose and slip and all that stuff. And that's one thing that Coach Cons did, man. He would get all of us on the defense side of football, all those names that you drop, the Freddie Roaches, the D'Amico Ryans, the Mark Anderson, all those guys, Wallace Gilberry, Anthony Madison. He would motivate us all to go out there and like we would seriously sit in the meeting. We'd be like, man, I don't feel like practicing today. And after hearing a Coach Cons speech, man, we would get out there and want to go out there and like jump off a bridge for him, man.
Mm-hmm.
My other co-host brought up his interview in the bowl game when he was interim coach. It was just memorable, man. That was so good.
Yeah, I think that's what everybody always remember him as. Gotta stop that trap.
Well, the public got a taste of what y'all probably got all the time.
Yeah, that's all the time, man. That was all the time.
Yeah.
Before we get your thoughts on the game today, there was a question previously. Said, Rudy, didn't you get a phone call from another famous walk-on before an Alabama game?
I did. Actually, it was my junior year. It was my first year starting. It was 2004. Was getting ready to play University of Arkansas in Fayetteville, and we was walking off the field. It was our last preparation of practice day. I think it was that Thursday, because Friday we travel and we're traveling to our destination. And so I was walking off the field, and the media says, "Hey, Rudy, doing my media press conference stuff," and they say, "Hey, Rudy, we got a phone call. Somebody wants to talk to you on the phone." So I picked up, answered the phone. I said, "Hello, who's this?" He said, "What's going on, Rudy?" He said, "I just wanted to, they said, this is the other Rudy." And it happened to be, Rudy Rudiger, the guy that walked on at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And one of the media guys caught wind of it, man, because through my whole process and during that time, man, I honestly, I would watch that movie Rudy all the time, man, when I was going through it. And my roommates, J.P. Adams and they would and Keith Saunders and Mark Anderson, all those guys, they would pick at me all the time, honestly, because I would literally watch that movie like every day. Like before I go to bed, I would watch it.
Yeah.
And every night I would learn something different from it.
Yeah.
And so I was studying it like it was like it was an exam or something, man. I was learning something from it. And one of the media, I guess one of the players told the media or something, and they caught wind of it and they set it up to have me and Rudy, the real Rudy, I guess, not the actor Rudy, but the Rudy Rudiger.
Not Sean Austin.
Yeah, not Sean Austin.
Yeah.
No, the Rudy Rudiger, they set it up. And actually, me and him stayed in contact for a while, man,
Cool.
and still have stayed in contact, man. He's out in Las Vegas doing his speeches and public speaking and different things like that. So yeah, man, it was a fun experience. It was full circle on that too.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Man, look, man, I know Justin knows all these stories, but these are all brand new to me. So I'm like a kid in a candy store taking these in. Cause like you, man, anybody that ever played high school football, Justin, me, you all had that dream. I had that dream of running out on Vaughn Hemingway Stadium and wearing that red and blue one day. But unfortunately I played against Blunt High School down in Mobile and learned that there's I played against DeMarco McNeil and learned that,
oh man.
Yeah, I was a tight end blocking down on him. That was stupid.
Yeah.
So I learned that night that was my second aha moment. My first one was seeing Marvin Constant at Central. My second was when I got to play against Blunt. But man, so we all can kind of relate to that Rudy, but to actually your name, Rudy, do it at the University of Alabama when you had to sit on a floor and eat a lunch and pray for a coach to watch your VHS. Holy crap, man. That's That's some awesome stuff, man.
Yeah,
That really
yeah.
is, again, what
And-
makes
and-
this sport so awesome, Rudy. Man, that story, like I said, I know Justin gets because that crimson in his heart, so it makes it bleed a little more. But as a Rebel and as a college football lover, man, and as a kid that watched Rudy that wanted to be that, man, I love it.
Man, and listen, I tell folks all the time, man. I said it was, and I know when you watch a movie, it seems like it's an hour. You watch a movie, hour and a half, 2 hours. From the beginning, it's terrible, and then in the end, it's over. Man, my story was it was long. It was a long process, man. It wasn't a quick fix. It wasn't a quick snap. It just, one of those things. I just kept my head down, kept grinding, man, and man, things happen, man. And one of the things that where I'm at now, our head football coach, man, he talks about good things happen to good people, man, and I truly believe that, man. If you're a good person, man, good stuff is gonna happen to you, man. And I was blessed in that sense, man, to get out a chance to run out of Bryant-Denny Stadium, man, and put on the crimson jersey and and feel that passion that I always wanted to do, man, because I was doing things the right way.
When Bear Bryant said there ain't never been nothing but a winner, you got to run out after he said it. So
there ain't no doubt. There ain't no doubt.
you got to be one of those winners, and man,
I did.
That's special.
Without a doubt. And and like I said, I love when you talk about this. And anytime I've had you on a show, man, I always got to bring it up. And then when I brought you on today, I wanted you get introduced to a new audience who hasn't heard these stories. And of course, my co-host here, he hadn't heard it either. And I just want to use you on this platform so you can reach people who, are looking on journey, who are having self-doubt, who are struggling. And, in this generation, a lot of these athletes don't understand the journey. They're all looking at the final destination.
Yeah.
And it's like a movie. In a movie, you have a story of triumph like Rudy Ruger condensed into an hour and a half. And so you really don't get the full scope of
the rest of it.
The rest of it, the pure hell, the moments where you couldn't take anymore, where you're getting beat up, and where, you had coaches and people telling you couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And just you don't see that. You just see the
in those hours at night when you're in your bed and there is no
exactly.
and the self-doubt, you're fighting that in the mental. Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, is this real? Do I need to give up? Do I keep going? Can I do this, man? That's where that mental battle, and man, that's where it's so special, man, that I hope kids that resonates, because it's so lost with the transfer portal now. I don't get my way, I'm gone, immediate. Like, they're already talking about Spencer Rattler transferring. The kid, the season's not even over, and he got benched in one game. And that's, that mindset, I hope it resonates. And I'm so glad that you're in the coaching industry at the high school level to get in those kids' heads at that level. And they can see a real example in their coach, which is special.
Yeah. And I agree with you, man. I see positives in the transfer portal, but that's one of the negatives, I think, man, is that, when things get a little tough, kids just bounce and all that other stuff. And I look at Jalen Hurts, man. He's to me is an exception. And I think the kids should try to follow by, man. I mean, his story in itself is amazing, man. Just from what he experienced, and and the same thing, man. I think that's something that kids need to understand. Listen, it's gonna be tough, man. Sometimes it's not gonna get your way. It's not gonna go your way, and it's not a quick fix to everything. And I think life. Yeah, that's life. But that's the social media world for him now, man. Everything's a quick fix and it's quick gratification. So, but yeah, you're right. Totally. I agree with you about the transfer portal.
All right, real quick, man. We're playing Mississippi State today. Like I mentioned earlier, totally different circumstances from when we were both there. Defensive minded, 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Now, man, it's a lot different. And
State's going to run the ball 5 times. They might not have thrown it 5 times to get you guys. You picked off one of them.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, we did.
And coincidentally, like I mentioned when we were trying to get you on, we're facing Mike Leach, a guy you faced your last game at Alabama when he was coaching Texas Tech. So you've seen this air raid offense. As a matter of fact, you stopped it. So if you would, man, give us your thoughts on what Alabama is going to have to do to stop this offense. And just kind of give us your overall take on what's going to happen today.
I think first it's got to start with the guys up front. I think that, because again, they're not going to run the football that much, honestly. Mike Leach, they're going to throw the football. Honestly, there's going to be a lot of quick passes, screens, and different things like that. But the defensive line is going to have to, get pressure on the quarterback, and then when they can't get there, get their hands up, and then also in the back end when the receiver catches the football, because they're going to catch the football. When they catch the football, tackle them. Don't allow them to have any yards after catch. So they catch it, tackle them, and you do that. That's the one of the things that we preached when we played Texas Tech in 2005 or 2006 in the Cotton Bowl. Is that, listen, when the receivers catch the football, tackle them, and we did. That frustrated him. That's one thing that Mike Leach cannot stand, because he's an offensive guy all the way through and through, and he doesn't see. That's one thing about some of those offensive guys. They don't see the big picture. Just, guess what? You just gained 6 yards. That's good. You're not going to gain 38, 40, 50 yards every play. So,
right.
And so that's one of the things. So that's what we got to do defensively. We got to get after the quarterback. We got to tackle. We got to tackle well. Create some turnovers would be great. And then offensively, man, we got to just, I think if we establish the running game and stay with it, man, those guys, and that's another way that can frustrate Leach, is limit his time of possession with the football, just pound the football and get out there. And I think we just need to do that just for our sake anyway, just to be physical. Run the football, get out to the quarterback. Don't try to be cute and throw the ball around. Just establish the brand back of being physical as Alabama football.
Yes.
Yes, do it this week. Do it. Do it.
Absolutely.
We like that team y'all are playing. So
yeah, we got your back, brother. We got your back.
Rudy, and on my side, man, can I get a hottie toddy, because we're playing them boys in Tennessee.
Man, I can. I'll give it to you, man. Hottie toddy. We got you today, baby.
Hell yeah, roll tide, Rudy. Man, that's all right.
Hey, we got you today.
We're all a family today, man.
Hey, we all a big family.
Yes, yes. I love it, man.
Yeah, Rudy, man, this has been awesome, man. This is good stuff, man. For anybody that loves college football, if you don't love the Rudy Griffin story, you're detached, because that's what it's all. Your story is what it's all about, for especially the guys like me and Justin that have lived and breathed this sport, that watch it every Saturday, that love guys like you, but that got to do what we, took our dreams to that level. That's awesome, man.
Man, blessings, man. I've been blessed, man. I really been blessed, man. And that's one thing. I enjoy about coaching high school, man, is giving those kids that hope and that ambition, and never stop and never say, don't allow nobody to tell you what you can't do. Don't let nobody stop you. Continue to push through it, and man, and understand that it's going to be difficult. It's not going to be easy, but if you believe in something and you continue to do it, man, good things will happen to you.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, before you go, if you would, man, give us your prediction. Give us your score.
Man, I think it's a butt whipping, man. I really do. I think, like I said before, I think Alabama is going to get out there and establish the brand back. It's been hell on this week on those football coaches at University of Alabama. I can tell you that.
Oh yeah.
It's been hell. Saban's been riding them, and so they're gonna unleash it, man. I think Alabama shows up in a big way, man. I think we beat them. I think it's 35-0. I think it's a shutout.
Woo! You heard it.
Love it.
Rudy,
I love it.
35-0 shutout.
He said cancel the cowbell.
Shut that clang-a-lang of shit down.
Please
shut it down. Shut it down, baby. Shut it down.
That helps me out, because I'm going to be there and I don't want to hear the first clang. So.
Yeah. And hey, I promise you, hey, after they run out, because they ring them loud as crap when they run out of the little tunnel. They'll be ringing them. After that, you won't hear them again.
I love it. I love it.
See, Will Anderson hit Will Rogers. Will Rogers said, "I never met a man I didn't like. He ain't ever met a man that rang a damn cowbell then."
Ain't no doubt. Ain't no doubt.
Well, man, Rudy, thank you again for jumping on and spending this time with us. I know we kind of went over the time, but
yeah, we did.
A blessing. And hearing these stories, like I said, is just monumental for those of us who love college football. And then, too, for people in the audience, man, who are either kids coming up, hoping to play this sport in college and maybe the NFL, but also for parents, too, man, for those kids that they're trying to raise and trying to help them achieve their goals. This is a blessing from God for them to hear. And I can't thank you enough being on this platform to tell your story.
Man, thanks for having me, man. I enjoyed it, man. And anytime, brother, man. And anytime, man, I love to come back.
Man, we'll take you up
always
on
welcome. That quit. Then we'll see you again soon, Mr. Griffin.
Yes. All right, Rudy, roll tide, buddy.
Man, roll tide.
Roll tide, brother. Justin, man, that was God. I don't know what I expected out of Rudy, but I did not expect Rudy to give me the Rudy story. I did not know that. God, that was awesome.
Listen,
I'm a football freak, and that is badass.
Listen, that's why I didn't really let on, to my ulterior motives. When I told you yesterday that, hey, I got Rudy Griffin. This is a guy that had that big play against Mississippi State. I want to bring, guys from the games that where we faced the opponents that we played previous. But yeah, it was a lot more than just highlighting that one play. And that just really resonates to people when you hear those stories. Matter of fact, his wife just commented, we appreciate you watching, Kamiko.
Thank you, Kamiko. And thank you for letting your husband give us this time on a Saturday morning. I know he gives a lot of his time to football, and that takes away from family. We really appreciate your husband using this platform to share those stories, because I know I've got some coaches that will share this. It was from an Ole Miss fan that made my day. So thank you.
And and I'm definitely going to carry that with me, and his score prediction.
To Starkville
right.
Hey, dude, I'm hoping for your ears, your head, and all that sake that the Tide can do that, because if his score prediction is right, the bells will cut out a little bit early. But if not, man, whew,
I'm telling you.
I tell you what,
and he touched on a lot of the key points that I had for Alabama in this game. What is this? Oh gosh.
What's up, guys? Good guess, man. That was an excellent spot. Love that. Just wanted to jump on and say roll tide and let you guys know that was fantastic.
Yeah,
did you cry a little bit? It's okay to cry.
I cry sometimes. That's
almost
what I was
cried. I had to try to not cry.
Yeah, that always touches me, man. I'm not gonna lie. That story always gets me, and I always get those chills, every time. I've heard it several times. I watched it happen in front of me when I was at the University of Alabama with him. It's really amazing.
Did you know any of that? I'm assuming you didn't know any of those stories.
I didn't know any of that story, guys. That was that was really good stuff. I was basically glued to my phone watching it. I just want to jump on and say thanks for getting that guess. Good job, Justin. Good job.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. Like I said, I had ulterior motives other than just to get a famous Bama guy who had a significant impact on the opponent we're playing. So, yeah.
I was, this guy absolutely, Mr. Griffin, knew football, and I'm just upset that you guys didn't get me some good gambling picks out of him.
Mr. Griffin, I don't know. High school coaches generally, I might could have drug one. I was just amazed to get a hottie toddy, but I don't know about gambling picks from the high school coach. We should have tried to get some. He did give us one.
I like that 35-0.
Now he did give us one.
Oh, that's what I want.
The Tide's going to cover, so I'm going with that as a pick.
Well, awesome. Well, I just want to jump on and say roll tide to everybody, and hello from Atlanta, and you guys keep it up. Great show.
Thanks, Michael. Appreciate the input.
Before you go,
picks.
You give us your prediction. Tell us what's going to happen. Give us a player of the game for our game, and then also Daniel's Ole Miss Tennessee game. Man, we can't have you jump on and not do that.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go and get myself a Saturday morning cocktail. I'm going to watch this Auburn game early and see if they, are able to run the ball against the Hogs and kind of control the game, or if that crowd makes the difference. I'm really interested to watch that one. I'm going to watch Oklahoma State cover the spread today too, so you might want to get in on
that one. Giving picks out.
Yeah, a little early pick, a little early, make a little money for the rest of the day, or lose it with me, one or the other.
So do you?
I got to get out of here, guys. I'm on a short leash, so I'll see you guys.
Give us a score.
Score for Bama, real quick, before you're out.
For Bama, I'm going to say, I think because, we're in Starkville, that they're going to get some points on the board. Won't be a total shutout. I'm thinking maybe 35-9.
Ooh, okay. There we go. That still covers. I like it.
Yeah. All right.
Appreciate it, Mike.
You guys have a great one,
brother. Appreciate you.
All right.
All right,
Yeah,
that's a little
I can
kick in from our.
I can live with 9 points. That still doesn't make my anxiety go up.
Oh yeah, and that still keeps your headache levels at a minimum. But I tell you what, man, I've seen some crazy games between you two in Starkville.
Tell you what, man.
And
I mean,
State, man, historically plays. I hated
uh,
this as an Ole Miss fan. They historically play y'all tougher than Ole Miss does.
they
That's
do, man.
true.
I mean, we've had some games here and there that were out of hand, but for the most part, like you said, dude, it's always been a battle. I mean, dang, go back to the '90s, man. Those were
JJ Johnson, man. Yeah, State used to beat y'all when we couldn't, and it pissed me off.
well. I mean, even when they weren't beating us, they were making us earn it. We knew we played Mississippi State, like back in '94 when we had to mount a comeback against Michael Davis and those guys.
Oh
And then,
boy, man, you're bringing old school. Michael Davis was a stud, and then they had
yes,
Daniel Boyd at linebacker, and man, they had some
they
big
have
old
Fred Smoot at cornerback, and
Smoot Smack, Orlando Truitt, Greg Plump, Sleepy
yeah,
Robinson, and all those guys used to play the hell out of it. Well, it was the Jackie Sherrill days, because like what Marvin Constant brought it up on your show. Back in them days, King Jackie would be getting all those JUCO guys that were like 25 years old.
yeah.
And they just had dudes.
I mean,
Man, that Trent Richardson had me dying. He said, man, I was asking one dude tackle me. I was like, damn, dude, whose uncle is you?
yeah. That definitely goes in our top 5 sound bites from the Bama Standard.
Whose uncle is you?
Yeah.
I was crying when he said that shit.
But
Oh,
yeah,
man.
dude, it's always been a historic battle. I mean, 1992, man, it took George Teague with a pick 6
right.
to beat them. Yeah, dude, it's crazy.
Shit, it took one year they were driving down on y'all, and it took a false start from Mississippi State at the goal line that cost them the game. And that was, I think that might have been that 94 game you were talking about. I can't remember. There was one.
It was either the 93 or 94. Yeah, but yeah, the 94 game, State, I think, defeated at that point, and they were on a roll and really were giving us all we wanted. And the funny thing is, during that point in time, everybody was talking about Nebraska's offensive line, just how incredible they were, but Mississippi State's offensive line was there. Good God.
Oh, Pork Chop Womack and all those freaking manimals. Yeah, they look, man.
Lord.
I got to give State a little look. To my mom, I got a buddy. I don't know if he's listening to this point, Jamie Green. I know he's pumped up about this game today. I've got a lot of Bulldog love out there. Hey, I hope for y'all that they put up a fight, but I hope for Justin, he ain't got to hear the bells all day for his head. But
No,
I don't know, man. I'm sorry, State. I don't want to be the team that plays tied after a loss ever.
But
yeah, it's a rough spot.
It's going to be an interesting game today, and I have to reiterate that this offense really just needs to be built around B-Rod today.
Hillcrest, Patriots.
Yes.
Give it to the Pat.
Let him be your be the horse that carries the load and keep
pound it.
Yeah, pound it. Keep the State offense off the field, and then start to get Jamison Williams involved. And
yeah,
but
I like that kid. He looked the most explosive with the ball in his hands at receiver for y'all so far this year to me. Even more so than Mitchie.
Yes. And you bring up my next point. You help me bring up my next point. I want Jamison Williams to take the pressure off of John Mechie, so finally John Mechie can have that breakout game. He has yet to have a 100-yard game this season, which is so odd coming into the season. We thought he'd be balling by now, but
y'all were having
go ahead.
2 or 3 receivers get 100-yard games in a game last year, so it's
just so weird because, man. And yes, it's hard to replace 4 first-round draft picks at wide receiver, so you're going to have a little bit of a drop-off. But, yeah, we still expected big things from Mechie, and we expected him to be that next guy. But for whatever reason, he's been having a tough time this season. One thing I really do want to see, no one's really mentioned, I want to see Roydell Williams get more involved. Like Rudy was talking about, be creative with the offense. Put him out wide or in the slot because he's a very versatile back. And he's got some wiggle and some get up.
Quit being too damn cute, man. Look, I get the traditional football crap, but mismatches work. When you put a mismatch, when you put a receiver on a linebacker or safety, it gives you a chance to make the play. Do it.
Right.
Do it. Make it work.
No, right out of the gate, I was talking about the running. We're going to have our hands full because. Believe it or not, Mississippi State is actually pretty good against the run. They're only
State's never not had a defense ever in my life.
It kind of gets lost in translation because of the offense right now, but they're only allowing 56.2 rushing yards per game.
That's nasty.
Does that mean we can't run against them? No, it just means we need to wear them down.
You need to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And they got some talented corners with Martin Emerson and Emmanuel Forbes. However,
Emerson's a player.
He is. But in the same breath, they are known to give up the long ball quite often.
Well, tell you what, man, I expect your Tide to get back on today, Justin. I do, man. I guess it's a decade of indoctrination of Nick Saban. He loses once a year most of the time. He doesn't lose twice. This is when I expect Alabama to be Alabama. Look, for my Maroon brethren, I hate it for you that you're the receiving end of it. And maybe I'm wrong. I was wrong last week. I thought the Tide would roll. I didn't trust Justin the process. Obviously, the kids weren't listening either. But this is a week after a loss, and history has not been kind to the opponents of the Tide in this situation. So
right, like I said, man, this is where we need those leaders to step up and do what we've done in years past, so that we can go on to have that success that we are used to. I do have. What time
you heading out today? When are you gonna make the trek up there?
Before I say that,
go ahead.
No worries. I do have to point out there is a matchup that I am going to be watching, and it's very important. Rudy did mention it starts up front, and coincidentally, that's my matchup of the day. That's Mississippi State's left tackle, Charles Cross, who is a potential high-round draft pick, against Fedarian Mathis. If Big Field Mathis is able to win that battle, I like our chances. We got to establish dominance, and we got to attack at that defensive line spot. But to your question, what time am I leaving? I'm leaving at 12:30 and going to head over there and spend some time on campus. Got family who'll be up there, so I'll be making my rounds and get my anxiety up as the game draws near. Well,
unfortunately, I won't have the cowbells going. I'll have y'all on the iPad because my Rebels will be on the big screen.
Why is it they always somehow manage to have the games on that we both
want to watch?
We both want to watch at the same time.
Well, I mean, yeah, Bama Mississippi State is every play I want to see every play of it, and they're matching it up with dadgum Ole Miss Tennessee, which if I miss a play, I might miss a damn touchdown. I'm nervous about that one, Justin. This is where I envy you, Bama guys. I know last week was rough, but there's that confidence that the rebound is Ole Miss. Like I mentioned an hour or so ago, I have a little PTSD from last year and last week after the way our defense performed and the way Tennessee's putting up offense. Man, I know we're going to be in for a shootout today. I'm just hoping that the Ole Miss defense can get a turnover, make a few stops, and then Matt Corral continues with what we've seen all year from him. If so, I think at the end of the day, Justin, we maybe me and you can have a positive day or
Lord, I hope so. That you have the advantage where once the game's over, you're in good company. Whereas I'll still be in Starkville, and it's an overnight thing. So
I have left that place after a loss. It is not pretty. It's not. As a matter of fact, that was the last time I went there. I said, I'm not coming back. That's it. I can't take losing in this joint. It is rough. So good luck to you, brother. Safe travels. And man, another great show. I guess we will see everybody next week.
Well, yeah. Well, this
you got Hey,
Heisman house for Matt. Okay, Michael Story says Heisman house for Matt.
Michael jumped in. Okay, Michael Story, if you don't know, is a former Ole Miss football player. He is, man, I'm going to have to tell when we get to the Iron Bowl, Egg Bowl week, we'll have to get into our favorite stories from around the game. And there's one where he pulled me and my dad out of a fire at Bellhaven Bar and Grill one night. Heisman house for Matt. I'm with him. I think Justin's with him. Michael, my co-host.
Yeah.
I'm an Ole Miss fan, so it doesn't come off. I think my co-host agrees with you, Michael.
Oh, absolutely. I said towards the beginning part of our show that I still believe, even with that loss, that Matt Corral is the undisputed leader of the Heisman Trophy race right now. And behind him, I guess, is Michigan State's running back, Kenneth Walker III. But other than that, Of course, Bryce Young is up there too, but I really feel like Matt Corral is the undisputed leader right now.
I hope so. The kid has earned it. He has definitely earned it. Yeah, my co-host, smart man, Michael. I don't bring on, like, if I'm going to do a show with some Bama folks, I got to have the good ones, man. And he's one of the good ones. He's headed to Starkville today, Michael. So
Yeah.
we got to put our hands on him. He's got to put his headphones on.
Try to have Eli Gold's voice blaring over the
Clanger.
My
Ooh, it gets
gosh.
loud.
But
I wanted to ask Rudy that, because that's one question I want to know. Like, when you play in front of Tennessee in Neyland Stadium, or you go to the Swamp, I know that Starkville's half the size of those stadiums, but it's got to be louder.
You would think.
Yeah.
You would think.
Well, brother.
Michael, yes, I am a smart man, but I'm one of the few Alabama fans who can be objective. So
we call you the 15%ers, the 85%. Yeah, it's the graduates.
Yes, I actually went to the school. I paid 5 years of out-of-state tuition. I earned my Roll Tide, and I was there during the bad years. So, yeah, I'm not one of those bandwagon Walmart fans who are there to get T-shirts and autographs.
No, you weren't. No, you weren't, brother.
But these last few minutes, man, let's give some picks.
Okay, I do have a couple of picks, man. Are we doing gambling like Ole Miss and all that?
Well, I tell you what, for the gambling audience, why don't you go ahead and touch, and then once you've done that, we'll give our picks. All
right, gambling audience, today, I really like Oklahoma minus 13.5. Once they benched the Rattler, I think they found their quarterback. I think TCU in the spot is not going to like what they're facing in Oklahoma. This is the one. Oklahoma hasn't covered a big line all year. I like them covering the 13.5. Oh, my God, I can't believe I'm doing this one. But I am on Florida minus 10.5. I got on them early. I do think LSU. This is not me as much on Florida. It's me. I think Dan Mullen's done. I mean, not Dan Mullen. I think Coach O's done. I think LSU's quit. Their best offensive player went down against Kentucky. I don't see how they keep this close unless Dan Mullen happens. Final one, and this is another going to burn my ass. I got Auburn plus 4.5. I think they can run the ball against Arkansas. I think Arkansas got exposed the last 2 weeks. If Brian Harsin has a brain in his head, he will pound the rock with Tank Bigsby and Ja Hunter all day. And even if they don't win, I think they can keep it within the 3.5, and it's kind of a shootout. Another game to watch, Washington is favored by 2 over, God dang it, and I've lost. They were over UCLA, and that makes no sense. Washington has been average this year. UCLA has kind of been the darling of the pack. Yeah. And out of nowhere, Washington's favored over them. When you see that, Vegas knows something. Grab some balls and take Washington minus 2 if you want to take our WTF line of the week. But now, that was the gambling side. We'll give some game day, put your helmet on, put my helmet on pick.
Didn't Washington lose to an FCS team to start the year?
They did. They lost to Montana State, and now they're favored over the UCLA team that beat LSU. What the
Sissy Blue.
Yeah, that Sissy Blue. UCLA. I don't know, Michael. That's a trap game, man. Why are they favored? Unless they don't give free money out there in that the lighted up desert. All right, so picks. Who you got? Let's go Auburn, Arkansas, straight up.
Man, this is really the toughest game for me because like I said, I just don't know which way it's going to go. But because conceivably Arkansas is a little bit more balanced offensively right now, I'm going to go Arkansas 24-17 over Auburn.
Ooh, that's a cover. Arkansas, I'm going Auburn. The opposite, Auburn 28, Arkansas 24. Auburn's good. I've rode Auburn all year. I don't know why, because there you go, Steven. I'm riding your barn. All right. the big game, Kentucky, Georgia. The big game with number 8 Kentucky and Georgia.
Oh, wow.
Can Kentucky keep it close? Do they keep it within 24? Do they make it a game?
Maybe in the first half. I think that I mentioned this on your podcast earlier this week that if Kentucky has an opportunity early on to put points on the board first, meaning a touchdown, and they get it, then I like for them to keep it close to in the first half. But if they can't and they miss up on the opportunities, then Georgia's going to boat race them. But I'm going to give Kentucky the benefit of the doubt, and that doesn't mean they're going to win. I still think that Georgia's going to win resoundingly 35-10.
Did you just say 35-10?
Yep.
That was the pick I was going to pick. I was going to say 35-10. I had it in my head written down 35-10. There you go. Go to Vegas, put all your damn money on Red 23 and Georgia 35-10 over Kentucky because we've consensus picked that damn score. That's magical. Holy crap. By the way, Jay Smith point out if my picks are good, Petty, you'll be sent before a panel. I have several buddies that follow our podcast and our picks. I literally had a dream this week that all my picks for this year had been bad, and I got sent before a panel of my peers, which was all my friends, where I had to apologize like a big dumbass. So,
hey, look at Michael. He was along the same lines of
dude. So if that says anything, man, that's right on the line, which is at 23.5. That means that either we're dead on and Vegas, we're all dead on with Vegas, and that's going to be the score. Man, if we come back and that's the score, there's going to be some eerie shit. All right. Since we had a Bama guy on, I know I'm a rebel. I'll do Ole Miss first, and you're going to the game, so we'll pick Bama last. Ole Miss, Tennessee.
Woo!
Points.
But are we really expecting a lot out of Tennessee?
Are we giving them too much for South Carolina, Missouri?
I've been saying this phrase. I've been overusing it. Is a big moment game, prove it game. Like with Kentucky and Georgia. Well, is what we're seeing from Tennessee the new norm? Is it for real, or is it just kind of smoke and mirrors because they've played Missouri and Boston College and South Carolina, people like that, or is it true? Are we going to see an actual shootout? Going back and forth, man. But I'm going. Listen. I said this on your podcast Wednesday. Snoop Connor's going to go for 200 plus.
Snoop.
Hey, I also like Parrish too, man. He doesn't get enough pop, man. He's solid. I love him.
Neil McCready of Rebel Grove has been all over Parrish for like a year or two. He's got a man crush on that guy and has kind of been telling us he's a player. So yeah, I'm with you, man. Parrish has got some quick, and he's got that. He's that kid that takes that one cut and then goes. Boom. And I love that.
Oh yeah, but I'm going to go Rebels 42-31.
Woo! Love it, hotty toddy, man. I think they are gonna score. I don't have our defense scares the shit out of me, but I think we out athlete them. I do think, like Michael Story says, our former offensive lineman, defensive lineman for the Rebels, run, which Lane is gonna do. Snoop, like you said, Parrish. We get Ely back. I think we run for 350. I think Corral keeps it safe. We're going to put up 52 points, and I think Tennessee probably puts up in the 30s. So 52-35 Rebs. We pull away.
Ole Miss defense take advantage of that glaring stat for Tennessee where they've given up 20 sacks.
Blitz, damn it. DJ Durkin, call a blitz. On NCAA football, that one, the one that has all the lines that are going crazy, all straight down, pick that play just one time. Just one time.
Please.
All right. Heading to Starkville, Mississippi. Bells will be ringing.
No.
God will be singing. Yeah. What is going to go on?
Love it.
I got rhymes.
Man, there's nothing more to be said. I've said everything to exhaustion, as far as the team and, my thoughts. And it's just time to call it. Alabama 41 and Mississippi State 17.
Ooh, like it. 41-17 Tide. You heard it as Justin heads to Starkville, Mississippi in the belly of the beast.
Yeah.
I think the Tide wins this one 35-13.
Oh, okay.
I think State's defense can give. I think it's, they can get nasty, man. Like I said, the bells will be ringing. That defense is going to come out a little pumped up, but I think the Tide wears them down. I think we go with B-Rob, my boy from Hillcrest High. He's going to have another stellar day of 150 yards rushing, and these Tide's going to ride us back to victory, man. 35-13, Alabama.
Roll Tide, yeah.
Roll Tide.
I'll take it.
All right, man. It has been and Michael's slinging out the picks, 38-14.
Yes,
He's
man.
with us. Michael feels it.
I like it.
Look, man, Justin, another hell of a day, man. This show has been awesome. I hope the people have enjoyed it. We are going to continue to bring you guests. We almost had Gerald Poe on top this week, which would have been awesome. I'm going to continue to work on Mr. Poe, but we're going to get some red and blue players on here too, because Justin is absolutely bringing the heat on the Tide side of things. But man, I've enjoyed this, Justin. This is awesome.
Yeah, same here. And as far as our guests next week, I guess I had to find somebody.
They're bringing it up.
I had to find somebody that had a good game against Tennessee. So
there's a bunch of those.
Yeah,
the list is long.
I guess my homework is going to be interesting. Would love to get Roman Harper, since he was responsible for that big play against Tennessee in 2005, but he will be busy on the SEC network.
Good luck with the migraine.
Yeah. Ooh, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's get Roman Harper on next week. Call Roman. Let's get him up, and I'll get us a rebel.
We've actually had him on the Bama Standard before.
Oh, I know.
Speaking of the Bama Standard, tune in this Tuesday. It's going to be another big show. Of course, that's what we do. We put on big shows. 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. Marvin is back, probably with more shirts.
You got anybody else from Tideland?
Well, actually, Bo Scarborough is going to join us again. He's actually going to be one of our co-hosts now.
Can they have a flex off? Because those may have been the two most intimidating high school prospects I ever saw. Marvin came out of high school looking like Mike Tyson. And I remember showing my dad Bo Scarborough's picture when he was like, God, how does Bama keep doing that? I was like, wait till you see this next son of a bitch. He looks like this. And it was a picture of Bo Scarborough in high school. And my dad just laughed. I said, yeah, I know. It's like a daggum Arnold Schwarzenegger off between those two dudes. But
absolutely. But yeah,
awesome.
He'll be on.
So Bo's coming back. Nice.
Yeah, so we are still trying to decide on a guest. So that will be selected this weekend at some point. But regardless, we're going to be talking it up. We're going to be recapping the Mississippi State game, and hopefully, it won't be for the wrong reasons, and we'll draw an audience to celebrate this time. Well, like I said, while I do appreciate the audience tuning in this past week, I don't want it to be for the same reasons this week.
Yeah, do it for a win. And then after you watch the Bama Standard on Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, if you have not subscribed, please do that. Subscribe to the Week Zero Sports and Other Stuff podcast. And we will be in your stream Wednesday morning to wrap your ears up with all the good stuff we've got to say. So, which is all the other stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, man, Justin, appreciate it, brother. Been another great one.
Appreciate you. Let's go out and our teams do our thing, man, and have some good things to talk about next week.
Hotty toddy, baby. Let's do this.
Roll Tide.
See you next week.
See you, bud.